us but won't bring us down. We're on the edge of greatness, turning darkness to light. We're right beside you, ready to fight. We must be strong, we must be strong, and we must be brave, we must be brave. We gotta fight every bit of strength that we have and never let it go. We're bound to this struggle with mighty sword and flame. We'll never fail you when you call our name. Together we'll be heroes, joining forces as one. Strong as the steel we carry, we rise like the sun. We must be strong, we must be strong, and we must be brave, we must be brave. We gotta fight every bit of strength that we have and never let it go. We must be strong. Cause we're warriors, we are unstoppable. Nothing's gonna get in our way. We're gonna win in the end. We must be strong, and we must be brave. We must be brave. We gotta fight every bit of strength that we have and never let it go. We must be strong, we must be strong, and we must be brave. We must be brave. We gotta reach inside, stand together and fight, never let it go. We must be strong.
With Stadia, you
This is Garnet, back together. And I'm never going down at the hands of the likes of you, because I'm so much better. And every part of me is saying go get her. The two of us ain't gonna follow your rules. Come at me without any of your fancy tools. Let's go, just me and you. Let's go, just one on two. Go ahead and try, hit me if you're able. Can't you see that my relationship is stable? I can see you hate the way we intermingle, but I think you're just mad cause you're single. You're not gonna stop what we made together. We ain't gonna stay like this forever. If you break us apart, we'll just make you up, and we'll always be twice the gem that you are. This is who we are, this is who I am. If you think you can stop me, then you need to think again. Cause I am a feeling, and I will never end. And I won't let you hurt my planet, and I won't let you hurt my friends. Go ahead and try, hit me if you're able. Can't you see that my relationship is stable? I can sing down the something you're afraid of, cause you think that you see what I'm made of. I am even more than the two of them. Everything they care about is what I am. I am their fury, I am their patience, I am a conversation. I am
Disclaimer. I am a law student, and the legal information provided is not legal advice. For that, please hire an attorney. Hi! Let's begin with a hypothetical. Let's say that we have a trans YouTuber, all right? Or some kind of social media influencer. And let's say that this media influencer has a Twitter. And sometimes they go onto their Twitter. And let's say that this Twitter user, this media influencer, goes on to Twitter. And since they're trans, and since they're about to get top surgery, they post about the excitement of the fact that they're about to get top surgery, as people do. And let's say that someone comes into the replies, and they say something to this effect. The fuck are you doing? You're not a kid anymore. You're not 12. It's called getting breast implants. Get it right. And let's say that, yeah, just for the sake of hypothetical. And let's say that a lot of other people who follow this larger creator start getting into arguments with this person who makes the very interesting claim that saying top surgery is somehow only for 12-year-olds. Let's say that a lot of people start getting into arguments with this person in the subsequent thread. And let's say that some people very quickly end up, like this person, instead of actually responding to any substantive argument that's ever made against them, like ever, that instead what they do is completely pivot to different arguments when they feel cornered and they can't actually respond to a substantive criticism of a view that they have, or they make a vague allusion to concerns about exhibitionists and voyeurs. Like a lot of times. Like if someone, for example, were to make a criticism that, hey, I'm a trans woman, I go into bathrooms all the time, there's no issue, ever. And this person would respond, oh, well, that's good and dandy, but if we let you in, then we're going to have to worry about exhibitionists and voyeurs taking advantage of that. And let's say that they say this and make this argument a lot. And let's say that eventually this larger creator gets kind of sick of this and just reaches down and is like, hey, you seem like you're having a day there, pal. If you want to, I'll bring you on the stream and we can have a chat. And the way that they respond is by saying this. Oh, I would be honored, Riley. And you know, I think that we have a lot of common ground, and I think that there's a lot of things that we can agree on, and I just want to be super nice, and I just want to be super friendly, and I want to come in and I just want to be like super good faith with you because I'm totally super good faith, and that's just the way that I am. Question. Do you think that this person is actually acting in good faith? Hey everyone, how's it going? This is gonna be a fun one. I'm so fucking ready for this. So yeah, basically, the hypothetical is essentially illustrating the point that, yeah, today I'm debating a TERF who is apparently like not popular on Twitter, but who tends to follow and like targetedly harass a lot of trans people. So this should be fun. It should be a good time. But so actually normally I start at 5. But I really wanted to, because like the thing about this, the thing about bringing this person on is that based on their most recent messages or their most recent tweets, and we're going to get into those, we're going to show you everything. It seems like they're going to come on and try to posture themselves as acting in good faith. And, oh, I'm not a bigot. I'm totally not a bigot. I'm just trying to genuinely pursue the truth and pursue knowledge. I'm just a good faith actor. And yeah, that's kind of bullshit. I'm under the impression that they're a Weasley little snake, to be perfectly honest. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to show you that, and then yeah, we have about 20 minutes before they come on. So I figure that we can take this time to do some preparation and you know, just make sure that you as the audience are fully aware of the entirety of the circumstances. Okay? Okay. let's go ahead. So to begin with, I've done research with my Discord over the course of this week. If you've been with me, then you will have seen this document. Effectively, this is a comprehensive article or document with all of the academic consensus, which completely debunks myths of trans predators. We're going to, Riley, please define what a hypothetical is. It's whatever I want it to be, damn it. So we're going to go through this really quick to lay out what the academic consensus is on all these various issues, and then we'll go through the appropriate Twitter, or the Twitter threads. On the nature of whether trans women are predators trying to invade women's spaces or sexual predators are trying to take advantage of self-identification laws to commit acts of sexual violence against women. Whereas over 200 sexual assault and domestic violence organizations, the American Medical Association, studies, experts, and police departments across the nation have confirmed that 1. Bathroom bills citing fears of increased safety and privacy violations as a fear of non-discrimination laws are not empirically grounded whatsoever. They're not. There's no empirical grounding for any of the bathroom bills that have come out about trans predators. So pretty devastating blow against that argument just off the bat. Also, secondly, there are no studies finding that sexual predators are likely to take advantage of transgender-friendly bathroom laws, and a systematic review of evidence collected by organizations such as the Family Research Council, American Family Association, the Liberty Council, and Breitbart, arguing otherwise, found only one case ever where the perpetrator was confirmed to be trans, and only 19 cases ever where they claim to be trans or disguised as an opposite gender to commit a crime. That's it! That's all that an independent source was able to verify. That's all. And hey, Sock Done Left, thank you. Everyone join the Discord. Baby, we're having a fun time. Third, anti-trans groups pushing bathroom bills have admitted on multiple occasions that bathroom predator myths they pushed were intentionally and completely fabricated as a way to avoid an uncomfortable battle over LGBT ideology and still fire up people's emotions. They were made up! They were made up just to fearmonger. They were based on nothing. Nothing! Also, 4, a survey of 17 school districts around the country with protections for trans people covering 600,000 plus students found no problems with harassments in bathrooms or locker rooms after implementing their policies. That's pretty wide. That's a pretty wide net. Seems like you'd expect some sexual harassment to happen if trans people are the sexual predators that you make them out to be. And 5, an investigation of 18 states and more than 200 municipalities with laws protecting transgender people from discrimination have reported no problems. So, let's be clear. There's no peer-reviewed, there's no evidence beyond, random anecdotal one-off pieces of evidence, specifically 19 with non-trans people and one trans person. Rarely Grace Pro Shock, thank you. But anyway, there's only one case where actually this has happened and it was able to be verified as a trans person. That's all that they've got for evidence. And otherwise, every reputable source has patently shown these to be wrong. And then that's not the only point. Whereas studies and accounts demonstrate, 1, transgender students face higher risks of sexual assault and other harm in schools as a result of restricted bathroom or locker room access. 2, many trans people avoid going out in public due to lack of safe bathroom facilities. Since they have been verbally harassed and physically assaulted in restrooms and have consequently experienced physical health problems, including dehydration, urinary tract infections, kidney infections, and other kidney-related problems. And 3, cis women have sexually assaulted trans women in women's restrooms as opposed to the alternative. Literally, not even are trans people not normally the perpetrators of this sexual harassment or sexual violence. They're normally the victims themselves. And yet, TERPs want to make it out that, trans predators are such a major problem. And then also, generally, there are also studies showing that trans people disproportionately face more sexual violence and assault in general. This just refers to specifically what people might call women's spaces, or at least these studies do. Whereas, studies and reports show that trans people are roughly 10 times more likely to experience sexual assault in prison than cis peoples, and they are often subjected to solitary confinement as soon as they arrive or have been sexually assaulted and are otherwise subjected to discrimination by inmates and prison staff. The whole trans predators in prisons argument, those, again, all that they can cite are random one-off instances. Overwhelmingly, trans people are not the perpetrators of violence. They are the victims of violence, and that's what every reputable study shows. And whereas even if even if there are some trans women who are sexual predators and are placed in women's prisons, prisons already have means for ensuring that predators don't sexually assault others, usually via solitary confinement. Like prisons already deal with rapists. This is already something that they do. Like, where do you think that the rapists go? Do you think that we exile them to an island where they can rape each other? Like, no. They go to prison. Cis people, cis predator, like cis gay rapists go to men's prisons. And yet we don't see people getting bent out of shape over, the cis gay men might be raping others. Or I mean, like, technically they have over the course of history. We can talk more about that later. Whereas surveys and studies show, and this is like shifting it, like this is the really interesting thing, right? Whereas surveys and studies show, one, the majority of cis women are just fine with trans women using a female toilet. Like, there was a survey conducted over in the UK where, like, the overwhelming majority of people were just fine. The overwhelming majority of cis women were just fine with trans people using a female toilet. And two, there was a study done that showed that cis men are mainly the ones who care most about trans women in women's restrooms, and researchers posit that this is likely since cis men are A, more likely to believe wrongly that trans women are men, deceiving others to believe that they are women, and B, they also feel a paternalistic desire to protect women from assault even where it is not present. Like, most of the time when you see people who are defending, like, trans predators are invading women's spaces, we need to keep them out of there, usually it's going to be cis guys. Like, most of the time is what researchers have found. And it usually emulates what researchers posit from, like, a paternalistic desire to protect women from vague, undefined danger. Whereas even if cis women did care, studies and examples show that a lot of the time, people just can't tell who is trans, resulting in both trans and cis women being harassed by transphobes in the restrooms, right? Most of the times, you just can't tell. I'll supplement this with my own anecdotal experience. I just go about my life, and I live as a woman, and most people don't give a fuck. Amazing. Whereas gender-segregated bathrooms arose not out of differences of anatomy, but a paternalistic desire to protect women that closely resembles concerns by cis men about the possibility of black people and other minorities assaulting white women in bathrooms since the Jim Crow era. Remember the whole conversation about, like, the motivation for, like, men to, like, get involved in these conversations? The paternalistic desire? Well, research has also shown that that's, like, the basis, like, that's, like, the genesis, the basic, the origin of segregated bathrooms to begin with. It's just like men trying to be paternalistic and protect women from vague, undefined opposition, whether it's going to be black people, whether it's going to be gay people, and now whether it's going to be trans people, right? Like, every single time, that's what we see. Therefore, since myths of trans predators are categorically false and used to perpetuate bigotry, trans people should be allowed to use the bathrooms and be placed in prisons, which most accommodate their gender. All right, cool, everyone fine, awesome. That's the scientific consensus. So with that in mind, let's talk about some Twitter drama. All right, y'all are good? Y'all got that in your noggins? We did a lot of work to get all that together. So, just to give you an idea, this is the person, Manamalian. This is the offer I made for them to come on. Should be here in about 15 minutes or so. So let's see what we can get done in 15 minutes. Riley, when a person is walking alone down the alley, what's the prevailing concern? A stranger's gender identity or their sex? In other words, why do most women avoid walking alone at night? Can you try to answer these questions? That'd be great. This is gonna be a fun one, fam. I can guarantee you that. So I responded, yeah, totally. Or at least that was the quote tweet that I did. Yes, I have visitors in town this week, but after that, I will 100% come onto your stream. Let's go. Awesome. I'll touch back with you with some dates. I love it, and thanks for the invite. I won't be rude, and I'll treat you in good faith. I just want this to be a productive convo more than anything else. Smiley face. Want to plan for this Saturday, December 2nd at 5 p.m. EST? Are we still on for this Saturday? Just double checking. Yep, talk to you then. Awesome. I'm hoping we have a meaningful dialogue. I was just on your Discord looking at some of your research docs, etc. I think that we have a lot in common, or I think that we have common ground. My goal is to clarify the GC position for your audience, and I hope that you give me a fair chance to do so. Smiley face, smiley face. See you soon. Super nice. Super good faith. Super uwu. Super awesome. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? So this is the end point. This is the end point of our conversation. So why don't we go back to the beginning of it? All right? All right. This is literally the post where it came from. Number go higher, make dopamine go in brain. Very, very facetious. Oh my god, I'm tyrannizing women right now. Clearly, I'm Manamali sounds like a white girl who orders from Starbucks. Why have you turned Manamali into a preppy girl? I'm sorry. Now I have to get 8,008 followers when I get top surgery this December, which I did, which was fun. But in case it's not clear, it's the boob joke. It's the boob joke. Top surgery? You mean breast implants? You aren't 12 anymore. This is what you've chosen to do with your life? Obsess over a small minority that just wants to be left alone and exist? Maybe you should get a hobby. Access into all women's single-sex spaces isn't spelled left alone. Try again. So let's break this down. Apparently, top surgery is language for 12-year-olds. Just to be clear, it doesn't refer to just breast implants. It also refers to getting breast reductions, which is why most people say like top surgery, because it's more inclusive and more accurately descriptive. Also, this is just what me and my doctor talk about it as. So, I mean, like, if you want to take an issue with my doctor, then hey, I guess if you're a doctor, then maybe you can take an issue with it. But I'm guessing that they're not. Also, instead of introspecting how I am obsessing over a small minority on Twitter, I'm going to shift the conversation to frame trans people as trying to invade women's spaces and focus on sex, which was, again, remember back to the doc, never the basis for gender-segregated bathrooms to begin with. Period. And also, let's do a count. Let's do a count. Completely ignores arguments and acts smug count. 1. Let's see how high we can get this number. Let's see how high we can get this number, shall we? Sometimes I'm out and I have to pee. Get the fuck over it. Cool, go pee. But if you ever get convicted of a crime or decide to be a competitive athlete, etc., don't expect that your identity, heavy quotations, should grant you a pass into women's sports or prisons, etc. Good. And you might not want to talk about me in sports. I work in sports, and I guarantee I'm way more connected to that world at the scale/age levels than you. I can tell you that actual fucking athletes don't seem to care that much about trans women in sports. The only time this could possibly be an issue is at the elite level of a given sport, and your assumption is rooted in misogyny, where you assume cis women are too incompetent to possibly compete with anyone who you wrongly consider to be a man, which is fucking true! But what's the response? Bullshit. There are pending laws concerning high school track. Stop lying, please. So let's break this one down, fam. I can't respond to the point that this trans person using a woman's restroom is not a big deal, and I'm not going to accuse her out loud of being a sexual predator, so I'm going to completely pivot to the conversation to trans sports and trans people in prisons. Like, that's what it is. It's another complete pivot. What does that bring us up to, fam? That brings us up to a completely ignored argument act smug count of 2. Can we get some 2s in chat? And also, just to give you an idea, we went from talking about top surgery to bathrooms to sports and prisons. This person is so fucking good at gymnastics that at pivoting that I have to worry about them twisting something in their spine. And also, and even when she subsequently responds, it's just bullshit. She's just lying. Apparently, she's just lying, which is really a convenient response to an argument. You know, just everyone who says something you disagree with, oh, well, they're just lying. That's so super fucking weird. And also, just because someone files a lawsuit, that has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not it's going to win. We actually covered the lawsuit that I believe this person is referring to in the previous stream and about like the most transphobic cartoon. Go watch that. It's a super good video. And yeah, also, literally, again here, completely ignores arguments and acts smug count of 3. So that's where we're at right now. Let's keep going. Jangles comes in. A new challenger approaches. Quick, tell me which bathroom this person should go to and how you should check. And, like, it's a woman, right? Like, everyone can look at this person and be like, oh yeah, it's a woman. Do you think that he's going to respond? Do you think he's going to respond? Let's place some bets in chat. I'm sorry. It's hard because, like, I didn't, like, have these go sequentially. I don't know. But yeah. Quick, tell me why people who avoid walking alone at night are more concerned with the gender identity of strangers that they might come across in the dark alley as opposed to their sex. I'll wait. What? Is a stranger's gender identity more relevant to a woman walking alone at night than stranger's sex? Please explain your answer. This person, I didn't capture it, but it's no correlation. It just is like saying no correlation. So let's break this down. Jangles also responds to trans women invading women's spaces argument by pointing out that a lot of time you can't tell if someone is trans. Again, reference back to the research doc, we already know this. instead of actually responding to this argument whatsoever, I'm going to completely pivot again to an unrelated point about the apparent importance of how people walking alone at night may be scared if they see a trans person in a dark alley, because apparently this happens a ton and isn't just blatant fear-mongering. Remember when we talked earlier about how common these kind of things happen, how there's literally like no empiric evidence to be able to support it? Remember that conversation? Remember that? But apparently this happens all the fucking time. That's so weird how that happens. And completely ignores arguments next. Smug count, we're at 4, baby! Can I get some 4s in chat? Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of fun. You gotta do what you love, right? You gotta interject some love into what you do. Do you know any women? All right, so this is the person from before said that there's no correlation. So instead of responding to that argument, Manamalian says, do you know any women IRL? Oh my god. Do you know what correlation is? You still haven't answered SJW Debate's question. People can't. All right, I have to preface. This is going to make your heads hurt, fam. Like, I had to sit down and actually parse out what the fuck this logic is. People can and do use whatever bathrooms they want. The issue is whether women have any rights or legal power in the event of a dispute over those spaces. Otherwise, you're only empowering exhibitionists and voyeurs. So we're going to come back to this, but just to... And thank you. We're going to come back to this, but just so that we can get caught up. Another person points out the fact that points out how the fact that a woman is afraid of someone walking on the street at night is completely irrelevant, right? Like, the fact that someone is afraid of someone else is not reason to take away their rights. That's the same kind of logic that gets us into, like, racial segregation. Oh, well, you have a completely irrational fear of black people? You think that they shouldn't invade women's spaces? Oh, well, the bathroom segregation, we can just do that. I know, right? Pivot. Oh, I love this new emote. Yeah, so that's completely irrelevant. Also, instead of responding to the argument, I'm going to ask if this person knows any real women in real life, implying that apparently they don't have or have some warped view of reality, which is ironic because the evidence suggests that he's the one with a warped view. Literally, we went over this, that the motivation for most of the engagement with these kind of ideas is literally out of like a paternalistic desire to hashtag protect women from hashtag undefined, vague undefined predator. Like, this is so fucking ironic, but that's the argument here. And also, we're at completely ignores argument and acts smug count 5. Can I get some 5s in chat? Oh, amazing. The same person asked Manamalian to respond to Jangle's argument that you can't always tell who is trans, which he still has not responded to. But instead of responding, he completely pivots again to an argument that because transgender women commit rates of sexual assaults at rates are higher than the general male population, that therefore introducing them into women's spaces would inherently increase the risk of harm. We're going to come back to this, but this is essentially what the argument is here, right? And this is going to be explored more. And also, by the way, if this sounds like it makes no goddamn sense, it's because it doesn't. It makes absolutely no goddamn sense. This is fucking turf logic, all right? This makes no goddamn sense so far. But we're going to explore this more why in a second. Jangles responds by citing a study that we referenced in our research doc. We have this study. That's a super good study. Go check it out. As well, this review of evidence finding that fears of increased safety and privacy violations at the ground as a result of non-discrimination laws are not empirically grounded should put you at ease. And Jangles cites to the study. Amazing. And here's the kicker, fam. This is where we're mask off now, baby. Wait, so males aren't 99% more likely to be rapists anymore? Women are going to be so relieved. This is a study talking about trans people. This is actually the most telling because here's where he's exposing his argument in full. 1, trans women engage in sexual harassment at an equal or higher rate than the general population. Again, this is all bullshit, but this is his argument. 1, trans women engage in sexual assault at an equal or higher rate than the general male population. 2, implicit, and this is where this is exposed, trans women are men. That's what he's saying here. Oh, well, the study shows that men, he doesn't say are trans women, but who he's saying is, oh, men don't actually commit rape or sexual assault. Oh, everyone's going to be so relieved. But the thing is like this logic comes from the fact that he does not see a meaningful distinction between trans women and men. Like, that's where this comes from. And so he's like, oh, this study says that, oh, well, it must be able to be thrown completely out of the window because clearly those 2 categories are one and the same. And that's his logic, which is completely wrong, and we've gone over it before. But that's what the argument is. And therefore, introducing trans women into women's spaces will inherently increase prevalence of sexual assaults in women's spaces, supposedly. This is the argument, fam. Okay? Like, this is it. This is the argument in full. Now we know what the argument is. And also, can we get completely ignores arguments and X smug count? Can we get a 6 in chat? Can we get a 6 in chat? Amazing. Yeah. Oh, hi. So let's talk about this, because this is so far, and also we found out that this person has been on my Discord and posted this months back. So from what we know, this is the smoking gun that trans women are predators. So let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about this for a real quick goddamn second. This is a picture that they posted on their Twitter with no link to anything. No link, no reference, just this picture. So we had to do some investigation in my Discord, all right? So yeah, let's talk about it. Also, wait a second, 248 YouTube video streamers. Oh shit, hey Pog fam, what's up? Join the Discord, we're moving on. Let's read this, and we're gonna go through and dissect this in depth. Meanwhile, lifetime estimates of incarceration rate range from 19 to 65% among transgender women, compared to less than 3% of the U.S. general population, finds, and then they cite to this study. A study by the University of California, Irvine, spelled with a U very weirdly. By the way, Irvine is spelled with an I. We're going to get into why this mistake exists in a second. Found that 42.2% of transgender inmates in California prisons are incarcerated for crimes against persons. And 20.5% of transgender inmates in California are registered sex offenders. The Public Policy Institute of California finds, meaning that transgender inmates are significantly more likely to be registered sex offenders than other inmates. This is the smoking gun. Now, does it sound really weird that this seems to fly in the face of all of the academic consensus that we already talked about? Does it sound really weird that, like, in the course of all of our investigation that this had never come up? Does it sound really weird that this seems to be coming out of completely left field? Well, that's because the reason they didn't cite to it is because it comes from womenarehumanbeings.com. Fam, if that doesn't sound like a TERF site, I'm gonna spell it out for you. Here's their mission statement. Women are human beings. We believe the gender identity ideology movement dehumanizes women and girls. Women are not a concept in a man's brain, a feeling a man has, a costume a man puts on, a type of performance, a state of nirvana a man can achieve through drugs, a dysphoria that haunts a man's mind, or a disease that can be treated with pharmaceutical medicine or surgery. The human rights of women and girls on the one hand, and the rights of people born male and who self-classify as women on the other, have been set up as a zero-sum game. Legal protection of women and girls' human rights, including those fought over for centuries and still being fought over in much of the world, are sacrificed in favor of the rights of men who declare themselves to be women. Women Are Human is dedicated to exploring the totalitarian impact of the gender identity movement on society as a whole, and particularly on women and girls in every aspect of life, from identity, legal rights, healthcare, privacy, safety, sexuality, participation in sports, careers, politics, and more. We are a nonpartisan group formed by a political moderate. Hold on to this thought, by the way. Formed by a political moderate who is assisted at this time by political leftists and a political moderate. Our target audience is the everyday person. Our goal is to educate and spur our readers to take social, political, and economic action, and to provide the information and resources with which to do so. Fam, if this sounds crazy as fuck, it's because it is. This is like the most TERF website, and also, let's just go ahead and see what Media Bias Fact Check has to say about them. Oh, would you look at that? Extremely far right and only mixed factual reporting. Wow, isn't that crazy? Yeah, totally supported by leftists, totally like founded and supported by leftists. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Bop. 100%. RDR, can you link this? I'll throw the PDF here. Can I do this? Let me pull this up. Resolutions. Here, I'll pull this up really quick. My editor can edit this out, so it's fine. Or actually, I'm just gonna throw it in chat later. Actually, no, I want to do it right now. YouTube. All right, there you go. I uploaded it. Go nuts. That's the whole presentation. Okay, so that's the site that we're working with. But hey, Riley, that doesn't necessarily say anything about the sources inherently. All right, well, let's talk about the sources. So on the first point, like this 19 to 65%, this is literally just 1350 for trans people. Also, the study that they reference, it doesn't find this number to be true. This is literally listed in like the introduction as a throwaway line, just kind of vaguely citing to other sources and just being like, yeah, just generally it's found to be between 19 65%. No methods in how we came to that number. We're just going to kind of cite to other sources and kind of vaguely guess about it. But like, not only is the number not substantiated, not only is it not explained, but the study isn't geared towards finding that number. So this is literally just the 1350 argument, but for trans people. On the second point about crimes against persons is really vague. It can include crimes like theft, pandering, trafficking, and even sodomy or pandering. And that's being paid for prostitution. Hold on to that thought, fam. We're going to get more to that in a second. And third, the third point requires like this whole 20.5% of transgender inmates in California are registered sex offenders. This seems to be like the smoking gun. This is like, this is the smoking gun. Trans people are predators because they're more likely to be registered as sex offenders. This is the proof that we need. Again, fam, if it seems really weird that literally no other study which looks at like the totality of evidence about whether or not trans people are predators, it's because the study didn't find that trans people are more likely to be predators. They found another explanation for this. Here's a quote from the study, the same study that found that. When asked about the frequency of engaging in sexual things against one's will or sexual things one would rather not do, some transgender inmates could not recall exact numbers, but frequently told accounts of prostitution in response to these inquiries. When they were prodded to estimate a number, the response was often some version of, too many times to count, or more times than I can remember. Fam, the reason why this number is higher is because trans people are arrested for prostitution and related crimes more often. That's the reason. And we know this because there's also other publications which confirm this. It turns out that gay men and transgender women are among the most visible targets of policing. Gender nonconformity in conduct or appearance among men, transgender women perceived to be men, and drag appear to be highly sexualized by law enforcement officers, creating presumptions about gender nonconforming individuals are engaged in or about to engage in sexual activity. So let's be clear, not only is there evidence in the study that this is what explains that number, there's nothing in the study that says that trans people are more likely to commit acts of sexual violence. It just goes to whether or not they're listed as a sex offender. That's it. But this explains that. And this is the only thing in the entire study that goes to explain that point, which is amazing. Also, let's just talk about some other things from the study, because literally all the data was collected in the study via interview, which led to some really, really interesting errors, like fact that they classified in one of their models transgender. Like they classified being trans as a sexuality, which kind of throws the nature of the data collection in the study into question generally. And also, even if you take the data to be true, overwhelmingly, trans women who did respond are attracted to men. So there shouldn't be any problem about trans women in bathrooms preying on women. Because in this study that they're using as their smoking gun, most of them are not attracted to women. Like, overwhelmingly. And yet somehow they're predators. Is this beginning to sound like they're really grasping for straws here? Is it beginning to sound like literally there's no studies that say that like trans predators are actually a real thing? Or are they just like trying to employ turf logic? I'll let you decide. Back to the tweets. Trans women have used women's spaces without issue for your entire life. And this is important. I want you to hold on to this thought, fam. So let's empower exhibitionists and voyeurs to be in women's spaces. Why not? As long as no one touches them, women have no power or right to kick anybody out. No crime, no data. High five. From trans women use women's spaces because that's where we belong, or that's where they belong to. Let's empower exhibitionists and voyeurs to be in women's spaces. The quantum leap. Yeah, so let's again, this is really interesting, and I want to dissect it for a second. Katie brings up the same point that Rami did. that trans women use restrooms all the time without any issue. Super weird about that. How do I call in? Hey, go into the waiting room. Go grab some pronoun roles. You need those in order to be able to. Sure, if we let trans women in the women's spaces, we can let exhibitionists and voyeurs as well, since there are no differences between those two groups whatsoever. To be clear, being trans is not a crime. Being an exhibitionist or a voyeur is a crime. Pretty easy distinction there. And the thing is, this is the second time that he has used concerns about exhibitionists and voyeurs when talking about letting trans people in bathrooms, which seems to imply that he does see trans women this way. In the same way that racists talk about black people as thugs or Muslims as terrorists. Like, this is the exact same gimmick. I know that it's bad to call people or to call trans people this thing directly because I will get, for example, banned off of Twitter. But I can certainly dog whistle, and I can dog whistle as loud as I fucking want to. And also, completely ignores arguments in Axe Smoke Count. We're at 7, baby! 7! Let's see if we can get that any higher. Here's another random one. It doesn't have many substantive arguments, but goes to address the point. No, you boomer. I just have no reason to intellectualize disdain for trans people who are just trying to live their life, which is fucking true. Disdain, you're the one who's afraid to acknowledge the sex of trans people. You dehumanize them, not me. What? I'm just afraid. I'm not afraid. I just don't care. So let's be clear. You're the actual one dehumanizing trans people, not me. Literally continuously gestures at exhibitionists and voyeurs. Yeah, and also completely ignores arguments in Axe Smoke County. What? Crazy, right? This is an easy one. We're only going to cover it abridgedly. Because this is literally... So, you're in every thread I've ever seen on this topic, dude. Get a life. Which is amazing. Silence is a predator's best friend. And both of these are pictures saying that, like, there are predators who want trans equality or trans non-discrimination policies in bathrooms. Therefore, implying... Well, we'll get into deciphering all this, right? Okay, this is terrible, but what does this have to do with anything? These are all cis men, and none of them have happened in bathrooms, and none of these have happened in bathrooms, it looks like. If you actually cared about women or children, you wouldn't be using their suffering as a bludgeon against trans people. If you cared about women or girls, you wouldn't prioritize the rights of sex predators, exhibitionists, voyeurs, etc. There it is again! To access their spaces on the basis of them saying that they're a woman. So to be clear, fam, this is literally the anecdotal trans predators are super prevalent because I can cite a handful of examples argument, which is not how that works. So yeah, that's literally all that this argument is. Also, to make it clear, whether a bad person wants something does not determine the merit of the desired thing. If Hitler wanted to cure cancer, that doesn't mean that curing cancer is a bad thing. So that's also a bad argument. Raimi points out that this is irrelevant. You shouldn't use the harm against that cis people do to trans people against them. And Maximilian responds about the same platitude about exhibitionists and voyeurs and ignores the argument. Again! Completely ignores arguments in Axe Smoke Count 9! Amazing. Which brings us finally back to here. Riley, when a person is walking alone down a dark alley, what is the prevailing concern? A stranger's gender identity or their sex? The prevailing concern is whether or not their activity is threatening. Who cares about what their gender or sex is? Lol. Tell that to all the women, girls you know who don't feel comfortable walking alone at night. Let me know how that goes, lol. Ronda Rousey probably isn't too worried about walking down an alley at night. Neither does my 6'7" woman's basketball friend playing from college, but my friend Alex, who's 5'2", does sometimes. Do you think maybe there's something else at play here rather than gender or sex? Correct. Men can be attacked by other men, and it's cool that when women aren't scared to be alone at night. Great. You're totally bypassing my question, though. So let's talk about this. This is the same wrong argument. We've been over it. That cis women care about trans women predators. Also, someone literally directly answers the question and he completely ignores it, bringing the final count to, drum roll please, 10. 10 times he completely ignores the arguments and acts smug. So this is where we're at, fam. It seems like they are in the call. So what we're going to do is we're going to join the call and they're going to act super nice and be like, oh, I think we have a lot of common ground and I just want to have like a nice civilized debate about why my gender critical worldview is great. But let's be clear. If you think that they're acting in good faith, then fucking I don't know what to tell you, fam. But it should be fun. This will be a fun time. So let's have fun with it. And with that, why don't we go ahead and join? Or actually, no, hold on. Before I do, let me double check and make sure. Okay, cool. Why don't we go ahead and join the call? Hello there. Manamalian, you are live. Hold on one second. For some reason, you aren't coming through with audio. Headphones, yeah. High definition audio device. Try talking again. Uh-oh. Let me try something, fam. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Try talking again. Okay, there's something wrong with your audio. This is a silent turf, more deadly? Yep. All right, well, I mean, if this is going to be it, dude, you got to get your audio working. Damn, our turf spooners. All right. Well, Manamalian, you want to go ahead and check your audio? Yeah, go ahead, Elson. Pop in to make sure.
Hello.
Hello there.
So you can hear me, so it's not your audio problem.
Yep. Nope, it's not me. It's just this person.
All right.
All right.
That is all I wanted to check.
Okay, cool. Well, everyone in chat can know, and everyone who's watching can know that this is not a problem on my end. So, yeah, I'm going to give it like a couple of minutes. And then if nothing happens, I don't know, we'll go on to dunk other stuff. There's enough for like a good video here, so that'll be fun. How are y'all doing, chat? How are y'all doing? Wait, Elson's a turf? Oh, shit. Unfortunate. Well, Manamalian, link in chat? Yeah, you have about like a minute to link something in chat with what's going to happen. If you're not going to fix this, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do this. And I've wasted too much time on you. Yeah, Manamalian, we can help you figure this out. We can do this. We can help you. Tell us what's wrong. You're here? All right, cool. You have like a minute to fix your audio. Because I can't do anything to help you, friend. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Help us help you. You got a timer? We'll give it 2 minutes. And at the end of 2 minutes, if you don't fix your audio, then I don't know what to tell you, fam. Otherwise, like, I have dinner later. I'm going to be having crab, which will be fun. And, yeah. Yes, I know that he's in the waiting room now. Hey, you're back. And we still cannot hear you. Wonderful. I have dude minus. So do not refer to me as dude. Your Maryland is showing. Yep. Like, holy shit, how much of a fucking boomer can you be? Like, this is not hard. L, come back in and show other people that I'm not, like, doing... Like, I swear, I'm literally... Like, this is not hard. I'll show, like, stream chat.
Hi,
Oh.
it's me again.
Hey, Al.
So yeah, audio still works.
All right. Can you check on Manamelian and make sure that, like... Because, like, on my Discord, it says they're speaking, but nothing is coming through. Like,
yeah,
here,
I
I'm
see
showing
that
you.
they're green. Like
Yeah.
they would be speaking, but there's
Not
no
muted. The
sound.
volume is fine. There's nothing here. I'm showing everyone. There's nothing. Well.
Yeah, nope, that looks right. All right.
All right,
do
well-
not know.
Well, that's 2 minutes. All right. I'm not
Do
wasting
you
any
want
more.
to try? Do you want to try just doing a direct call? Maybe.
Oh, sure. I'll do a direct call. Yeah, sure. I'll send a friend request. All right, I'm sending you a friend request. Yeah. There we go. Maybe that'll work. Manamelian, be my friend and call me. Burp. Riley's friends with the turf. Oh, shit. Yep, it would seem that that is the situation now, fam. I am friends with the turf. I wonder how old this person is. I'm not meaning that disparagingly, but, like, it actually is interesting that this person has no idea how to use, like, Discord. Riley is canceled. Yep. Won't take any advice. It seems like that. I don't know. I feel like I hope I didn't make them too angry. I don't know. I want to be a good friend. I'm trying to be a good friend. You know you can call me or beat me, you know, if you want to reach me. I haven't left my chair, though, yet. Okay, well, Manamolian, I sent you a friend request, and you can call me directly. Riley just met them, and this is crazy, but here's her friend request, so call her maybe. I know, right? Holy shit, how can he not even get a direct call? I know. Like, this is... like, this is beyond parody. Did he leave? No, he's still there. Yeah, like, I am... This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like to be... Oh! Your speed... Hold on. Say more words. I heard you for a second. Say more words. Was that just me? Chat, did you hear something? Or was that just me? Did I just imagine that? I did not? Oh, all right. Riley's hearing shit. Riley's the king in the madness. Well, I mean, like, I spent so much time fucking preparing for this. It'd be really disappointing if this didn't happen. I would be really disappointed. The turf is in your brain. The turf in your brain talked. Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. I mean, listen, I'm not losing any viewers right now. So, I mean, like, until people start leaving, then, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, try a call again. And I still need to be friends with you, and you haven't accepted the friend request. Because I want to be friends with TERFs now. Did he accept the friend? I guess not. Yeah, this person just doesn't know how to use Discord, which is weird. Actually, no. I know that they know how to use Discord. No, wait, this is dishonest because this person knows how to use Discord because like I saw them do a debate with I saw them do a debate with Avi where it was in Discord. So like they know how to use Discord. I feel like I'm being trolled right now. I feel like I'm being very trolled right now. Okay. It can? What do you mean it can? What do you mean it can? Specify it can. It's a non-statement. It can. Yes, can I get some it cans in chat? Because what the fuck does that mean? Oh, I still need to be friends. No acceptance of the friend request. Try moving to the mountain? Let's try moving to the mountain. Hello, can you try talking? Nope, nothing. It's just their Discord. He's there and he's not muted. Well, I can't hear him. Again, hey, you know what? Friends of mine, hop into the chat and we can all talk for a bit. Riley, can you talk to him about his mic settings? Well, it's very hard to talk to someone who doesn't know how to use Discord. Mountain moment. Oh god, we went to the mountain. Oh fuck, I hate this. This is awful. Yeah, like hey Elle, can you come up to the mountain? Let's bring a bunch of people up to the mountain.
Hello.
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 Oh wait, never
we're
mind.
being gamers.
Yeah,
Oh, never. I thought it was the person. Damn it.
No.
Oh, that was just me.
Well, how are you all doing?
Good. We were just in Friends VC still from this morning.
Oh my god. Well, is this debate botched then? Can you? So
The
you all
left
can't
is-
hear him either.
I can't hear.
Why?
No.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him, and then he left.
Nope.
Oh,
I
he's
see
back.
the green.
Million's still here. I
No, he's still here.
boosted volume to double to 200%. Still don't hear anything.
Riley, I love how unapologetically rude you are to these TERFs. It brings me joy. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Generally, I'm not rude to people, or I'm generally rude to people who I think are not acting like good faith. Oh wait, hold on.
This is really funny.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. All right, how long should I wait, fam? Like, I need y'all's input. Like, how much time do I give this boomer?
Like
Oh,
I just can't believe like this is happening.
Like this is the thing. This is
So
the thing that
stupid.
prevents it from happening. I'm inclined to believe because again, they've used Discord before. Hold on. Let's go ahead. We have some time. I've cut out a lot of time for this. So let's go ahead and bring up VMD.
I'm gonna try muting everybody else and see if I just jack my volume up if my ears don't get destroyed by listening to Manamelian.
Okay.
I mean,
But yeah,
I
so
have
I
it-
mean, this
I have him
person.
at full.
but it seems like
volume
all
and
functional and like it's fundamentally we could
Still can't hear.
Yeah,
This is just a
person
new
is-
debate tactic.
This is a new
Right.
debate tactic.
A new
All right,
debate
listen.
tactic.
They know how to use
Okay.
Discord. I'm not gonna give them. And also, I don't know. I feel like they're probably. Hey, what do you think that the likelihood is that actually they realize that they can't respond to any of my arguments, so they're gonna try and like call into question the entire validity of the debate by saying that
Pretty
oh they
high.
muted me. They muted me from the minute I got here.
I can hear Manamelian's keyboard.
they're not male.
No, I think that's.
Hey,
I think that's
Socialism
so
on
left.
that's SDL, yeah.
Oh hey,
Yeah.
socialism
Oh,
then left.
hey,
How are
yes,
you
it is.
doing? Wait, why are you
Welcome.
here? How the fuck did you get here?
I don't know. I heard you
How did
dragging
I get here?
It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Yeah,
We all
hey,
did.
Manamalian,
Okay, well, to
share
be
your
included,
screen.
okay?
Yeah, Manamalian, share your screen. Yeah, share your screen, and we can listen. We will go
We can
through.
guide you through.
Yeah, listen. I have my whole mod
Like
team
team
here. I have
viewer.
everyone here. We can guide you. Share your screen, and we will walk you through this. We are here for you. We are your friends right now. All right.
We are the Discord gods
Have you
here.
tried turning your computer on and back off again?
We had
a
you got
corporate
14
IT
people here to help you.
I'm trying to share. All right, cool.
We
On the
can probably
bottom
figure
left
it
part
out.
of your screen, there's the thing that says share your screen. Wait a second. Is this the same person? This is the same person. Yeah. The bottom left part of your screen. There's a
Here,
button
I'll share
that
my
says.
screen and I'll show you how to do it. if you follow
Imagine
my
it's
example.
is our boomer in chief showing you how to do it.
Listen, we're gonna do this for a while, just to be able to show people that like this isn't like
Here.
any kind of like deceivious.
Okay,
It's
what-
not like the
what-
evil trans agenda trying to obfuscate or like prevent a discussion or whatever. Like we're just dealing with a boomer who doesn't know how to use Discord.
Yeah, Manamillion. If you'll click on my stream and you look where my mouse is, you see it's right here first, and then it goes here. This little green button right here where my mouse is circling.
I don't know how to show on.
He hasn't joined your watch.
Yeah.
Manamillion's on phone. That's the thing.
I'm curious, have they friended
Oh,
you yet?
Oh, you're on phone.
imagine debating from your phone though.
Yeah.
He's debating from his phone.
Okay. Does anybody have?
He's just
experience
debating
with
like he's
Discord on
posting,
phone?
okay? Tweet? Debate?
I've got a phone. I'll take a look at what it looks like on phone. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, same.
Okay, done.
Manamillion's back in the waiting room, FYI.
Oh, for after a while.
No, he's
I'm
not.
assuming that he's doing this fucking
No, he's not.
purposefully.
Oh yeah,
You
no,
know,
I mean,
RGR,
like,
another thing you could do is go to Whereby or something, like another service.
would that work? Could that work? Well, I mean, like, does that work from your phone? Because apparently
I
they're
have
using their
absolutely
phone.
no idea.
I mean, like, I don't have a Whereby. Do you have a Whereby we could borrow? Or do we?
Oh, you just make an account there, then you got one. It's that simple.
All right.
It's like
on
anonymous.
Facebook.
Yeah, we can do that. Here, let's see.
Suppress? What?
It says
Yo,
you're
it's
suppressed
not
when you're
a
in the
dude.
waiting room.
You could also like stop using the word dude. Like you're already being called out by that.
Yeah.
Like we know you're a turf, but like don't be an asshole too.
How about this? Because like we're literally debating this person on these issues. So I've been like giving them more leeway. But like if they do that again, I'm just gonna ban them, pursuant to like the rules of the server. Yeah, I don't really have like. I literally have like I have a dinner at 8 and there's other things I want to cover and we've wasted so far a whole half hour on boomer tech support.
I can hear them.
I heard something.
I heard,
Yeah,
I heard something.
We could hear them for like half a second.
it was.
Same.
I'm not sure what it was, but I heard something.
Perhaps, and hear me out, the phone is a terrible way to have an entire conversation online. Just perhaps. Perhaps.
Just perhaps.
Yeah, get the fuck on the laptop. Wait, is it phone? They said laptop.
Oh, it's a laptop?
Then how? Why?
it just
Why
says
is he not
you're
sharing his
online.
fucking screen then? Like if he's on a laptop,
Yeah,
you just
if you're
gotta
on a
press the
laptop, share the screen.
huge, shiny
Yeah.
green button on the bottom left. That
Yeah,
says
I'm on a
screen.
Where it's a
laptop.
gray it's a gray button when you're not sharing.
Yeah, maybe your sensitivity settings are fucked. Like, have you tried putting like to auto sensitivity or like drawing the bar up to the left?
What the? What?
I'm hearing something, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, there's background noise coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Quack Quack. Can you make?
Okay, I've got the screen share button for phone. I'm gonna post it in stream chat. Hello.
Is that
Yay.
you, Quack Quack?
This is Quack Quack.
Okay,
All right,
Quack
so
It's
it's
a
not a
random white
permission
name,
thing.
and this room works for Quack Quack. Just
Okay.
to put to rest that we have any special permissions.
So it's 100% on this person's side.
Yep.
I'll keep myself muted for now. I'm Quack Quack.
Thanks, Quack Quack.
Thank you, Quack Quack.
Thanks, Quack.
We love you.
Is it awkward if I
I'm
ask
Quack.
who's Quack Quack? I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude. Continue to start free. No. Personal. Continue dashboard.
I just want to throw a quick shout out to the person with the Jet Set Radio profile picture and stream chat. That's a great game, and you deserve all the praise you're gonna get.
You know, I'm starting to think at this rate that if we ever do get things going, we're only going to have time for a couple of no-use back and forth.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can call them. Have they accepted? They accepted my friend request. All right, hold on. Yeah, they're on their phone. Hey, can you hear me? Try talking.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes! Oh my God, we did it!
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God! All right, I have to
I've been
turn you
waiting.
up
I was
because you're
trying so hard to
super.
get in here. I don't know what's wrong with my. I'm on my phone right now. I'm not so sure. Why am I? Can you hear me good?
I had to turn you up because you're really quiet, but yes, I did. Or yes, I can.
Barely. Hold on a second. Let me get my headphones in my phone really quick. Dude, I'm so sorry, you guys. Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, cut out with the dudes, or I'm just gonna ban you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Is it good?
Yep. By the way, if you say dude again, I'm just gonna ban you.
my
Heads up.
I've super apology. I'm very sorry. I'm just super stressed because I've been trying to get on.
Yeah, no,
that
you're
was
totally
very
fine.
well.
Yeah, no, I'm.
apologize for
Listen, we're here for you.
I've been, okay.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know what happened with my laptop. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, totally. So you want to talk about what do you want to talk about? By the way, hold on. Let me ask you because I'm very curious. What do you actually
Yeah.
want?
Okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you. Like, what do
Well,
you
okay.
want? What are the things that you want?
My goal is to build a bridge between all the different camps. Like from my perspective, the debate between the TERFs and the TRAs, and the True Scum and all this stuff. It's not really moving forward, and I want to.
Well, yeah,
have a
because
stream
one
where we
side is
can- where
categorically
we- where-
wrong and the other isn't.
Well, I want to be able to like step back and look at the bigger picture of like the entire debate and try to reframe.
So are we
reframe,
not
but it's
actually
like,
going to get into any of the
let's-
things that you
let's
talked
look
about
at
on
it.
Twitter? Are we actually not? Are you going to completely pivot away from
we
all the
are.
things that you talked about on Twitter?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. That's what I want to talk about all the things or like all the things. I want to get into the actual matter of the debate. Like we're all engaging in this argument, and I want to actually have the discussion that everyone needs. That I think is going to
Yeah, I mean, like that'd be great. I mean, it's going to be like
an educational. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been paying attention, I mean, like, all the overwhelming academic
Mhm.
consensus says that, like, one side is right and the other is wrong. So, I mean, like, if you want to take issue with the overwhelming academic consensus on the matter, then you can. But, like, I mean, I'm more inclined to
Well, let's-
listen to people with studies and with actual degrees.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. I think part of the problem with the debate is that we're looking at it like one side is right and one side is wrong.
Which is the
Where
case.
I want us to listen. I want us to be able to like listen to each other a little bit, or like hear.
I'm
I guess
listening to
my
you.
goal
I
is
just,
to-
yeah. Do you have
my
any, like,
goal is to
substantive
have-
evidence for,
My
like,
goal is to have it be understood what the gender critical people are even trying to say. I guess that's kind of the bigger goal for me. It's like what is the gender critical people trying to even say?
Well, I mean, I know
what
that
is their
you said
position?
that trans women are men, that trans women have a higher propensity towards sexual violence, and therefore, if you let them into restrooms, and that's going to increase a risk towards cis women. All of those things are wrong, but that's your argument.
Well, let's step back a little bit.
Let's step back about it.
Let's step back a
Okay.
little.
Let's just never
Yeah,
actually acknowledge what the argument
because
is.
there's
Okay.
a lot. No, we're going to.
Okay.
Let's just step back a little bit.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of context with the way we're using like words. This is part of why the discussion is so difficult to have. Is because the way we're all using words has become so hard to decipher what the arguments really are. Because we don't have a common if we don't have a common language, then we're not really going to get very far in our
I mean, my
discussion.
common language is what the academic
So-
consensus is. Like I base my beliefs off of like what the
Mhm.
experts say.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. And
So I mean, like that's
and I
the
do too.
language that
So
I'm operating from.
That's good.
Okay.
Let's
Cool. What's the language that
let's
you're
just
operating
take
from?
a step back.
So like if you're not
Let's-
operating from the
let's-
language of experts, then or
Yeah.
studies or like any academic consensus, like what language are you operating from?
When we look at studies of trans people,
Mhm.
then they have a definition of trans people, right?
Mhm.
They have a definition that they're operating on.
Mhm.
What is the definition? What is the definition?
To be
Can we
something
just go into
to
that?
identify as something different than what you than to identify or to be a gender which is contrary to what you were assigned at birth. That is the
So when the
widely accepted
scientists-
academic definition of what it means to be trans. It's an umbrella term to encompass different gender different gender identities.
Okay.
Chill.
So when there's a study about like a trans population on any kind of study, then do they just take anyone who identifies, or do they qualify the study? Is kind of what I'm asking. Like,
Most studies
if
look
we're
at
gonna
whether or
learn
not
about
a
trans
person
people,
is trans, right? Like you're trying to make an assertion that like, oh, there are
Yeah.
people going around like self-identifying as trans when they don't, but like there are specifically studies looking at that specifically show that that's not something that happens. Literally, one of the studies that we looked at earlier demonstrated that like even on like the super far right sites that have like examples of like trans or like not trans predators, there's only like one like well documented like apparently like example of a trans predator that's on any of these sites. But like there was like 19 examples from ever of like predators identifying with a label of trans to try and get into women's restrooms. Like that's 19 examples ever.
right?
You know, like this is
Right,
not
right,
something
right.
that happens. I'm sorry. Like what you are suggesting is not like a phenomenon that's like observable. Like people don't go around just like identifying as trans for the sake of doing it. Because in case you're not aware, being trans is pretty shitty in our society. I understand that like TERFs try to glamorize it up as,
Yeah,
oh, it's this wonderful,
sure.
great thing to be. But like it's disproportionately like one of the most like oppressed and discriminated minorities. Like even as far as like the president of the United fucking States going so far as to take away our federal healthcare rights. Like it's not a good time to be a trans person, and no one's going around self-identifying as a trans person
Yeah.
just for the shits and giggles
Yeah.
of it.
Well, right. I'm not saying that they are necessarily. I want to say like most trans people are completely just trying to live their own lives. Completely concede that 100%.
So why do you have a
And-
problem with trans people going into bathrooms?
Well, so can I just want to be able to like
So you're not actually going to answer
convey-
that question.
I wanna be able to
your
convey my
issue, like you've
argument.
repeatedly said that you have issues with trans people in bathrooms because of voyeurs and
No.
expositionists, when there's literally like no examples of that, and there's no like why, and like studies have shown that that's not a realistic issue. But you seem to keep citing that as like something that you're worried about.
I want to be able to frame like I want to be able
So
to
you're
be
not.
heard.
So
That's
that is
kind of my
that. Wait,
goal
wait,
here.
hold on. Let me just clarify. Is that your belief? Like, is that your belief? Yes or no?
My belief is that it's a nuanced belief because I feel like trans women. Listen, I want to be able to be heard. Okay, rather than
I mean, like
rather
we went
than,
through your like all of your
try to
tweets. You don't
suppose
have to
my
be so
argument.
like nice and mask on, dude. Like we know what your beliefs are.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Mhm.
So, trans women want to have space away from like males, right? Or like from other men.
Trans women want to
correct?
be able to be treated as women because they are women.
Right.
Yes. So you
just
agree with that?
let's take it one. Let's take it one step at a time.
Okay.
So trans
So do you
women want
agree that trans
spaces-
women are women?
Just one step at a time. We're gonna get there because this is all about words. We need to clarify the words and the language that we're using. Otherwise, we're not gonna get anywhere. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but I mean, like it seems like
So,
all right. So yeah,
I just-
like
I just
be
wanna
very
slow
pointed.
down,
Like
slow
what are the
down.
words that you're concerned with? If it's women, then it's pretty clear what the definition of women is. It's if it's I mean, like I don't even know what other words you're really
So
referring
let's-
to. Like it's all
let's
about
slow
women.
down.
Oh, I'm fine.
Let's slow down. Can I start with a proposition, like a proposition maybe that we can all agree on? Because I really, my goal is to create like a communication bridge, and so we can understand what we're all talking about. Because it's hard to say like if trans women are women, we have to be able to have a clear definition of what a trans woman is, and what a man is, and what a woman is, right? So I just want to have. Let's start with the premise, okay? We'll talk about how like
Yeah,
words
here,
give
I
us
actually
the ability
did.
to talk
so I-
about concepts.
Yeah, so I mean, like I did research
Words
on what the
words give
overwhelming
us the
academic
ability to,
like agreement or consensus on what it
right.
means to be a gender. And yeah, like gender is
Okay.
defined objectively and subjectively. Objectively by social construction, subjectively by what someone believes themselves to be, by virtue of thought processes not within their control. Like that's what the medical and scientific consensus is on what it means to be a gender.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
So trans women or women.
that's okay. Well,
So yes.
that's a big jump. I'm not
It's not a big
getting the
jump.
logic
That's
from.
what it is.
Let's just slow down. Let's slow down. Let's slow
Let's
down.
slow down even more. I mean, like if we want to crawl, sure. Like what part of this do you
Let's
have an
just
issue with?
back
Do you
it
have
up.
an issue
Let's
with
back it up.
like the American Psychological Association, the World Health Organization, the Canadian Institutes of Health
None
Research?
of them are saying. Can I speak? None of them are saying trans women are women. It's not.
All
You
of them
can't-
defined
you
what a
can't
gender
find-
is, and gender is like a woman. Like to be a woman is to be a gender, and all of them define what it means to be a gender.
That's what the debate is, though. That's what the debate is, or that's where the conflict is happening.
I mean,
This
it's
is
a
where-
conflict
this is where the
between
heart of the
like
matter of the
people, like
discussion
the overwhelming academic consensus and people who aren't in academia, I guess. Like if you want to be
Well,
like, oh yeah, like my side is
can
like
I-
anti-science, then
can I
yeah, like
make
you
a-
can be that side.
It's. I just want to. Can I make a point? Can I just be heard a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I'm trying
I
to
don't
hear you,
want
but
you
yeah,
to.
go ahead
I
and
don't
make
want
the
you to
point.
characterize. I don't want you to characterize all of my positions before I'm able to make them.
Well, I
is
mean, like
kind of the whole
if
point,
I am
right?
listen, all right, hold on. If there's anything that I say that is wrong or a mischaracterization of your points, then please point them out to
Okay,
me. It's just that
yeah.
I'm under the impression that
I'm
you're not
trying to.
acting in good
I'm
faith.
trying
So
to
like if
point
you're
them out.
trying to like imply something, then I'm gonna call it out.
Okay. So, and the same for me. Okay. The same.
Yeah,
the
no,
same for me.
totally. If I misstate
if
I
if
misstate
I
anything,
say anything, if I say anything that's transphobic, then totally call me out at all.
why do you care about
okay?
this now? Why do you care about my
I'm-
feelings
I
now,
wanna
but you
start-
wanted to call me out for like saying that I was getting top surgery and calling me a child on Twitter? This seems very counterintuitive to how you acted before.
This is part. No, hold on. This is part of our discussion. This is part of our discussion. It's words.
Treat
it's
me
the
very
words,
nice.
right?
I'm gonna treat you like shit on Twitter, but I'm gonna be the nicest person you'd ever talk to when they actually bring you
I'm
on the
not-
stream.
This
Go
is
ahead.
just how I talk. Okay. So.
Okay. That's just how you talk. Okay. Awesome.
Tell me if you agree. Tell me if you agree with this statement. Okay, that words give us the ability to talk about concepts.
I mean, generally,
Right.
yeah, sure.
And like, yeah, in general, like a primary purpose of language is to be able to, talk about concepts and learn about concepts. And the more we talk about concepts, we can learn, right? So
Yeah,
words
sure.
refer
I
to
also agree
concepts.
that we should definitely like take a lot of weight for how we define words from how the academic consensus defines it. Like people who like dedicate their lives to studying these concepts, we should
Right.
probably give a lot of weight to how they define it.
Well, and also just giving weight to how they've always been, like the functionality. So hold on.
Wait, so
we
functionality,
agree
hold on, bud. You're about to get into a prescriptivist argument. And that's not where I'm going to.
Just-
Like, I'm not trying to be
Hold on.
prescriptive. I'm trying to be descriptive, buddy. I'm trying to tell you what is,
Yeah,
not what
yeah,
should
yeah.
be.
So, same here.
Okay, cool.
I
So
just-
let's not talk about.
let's
So I'm
think
gonna. If
about
you
a
get into a
society-
prescriptivist argument,
Let's
then I'm
think
gonna
about
call you out
society
on it.
where I won't.
Okay.
Okay. So let's think about a society where we just have, like, we're going to build our own language, right?
Mhm.
And we understand that words are going to give us the ability to talk about concepts, right? So we agree that words give us this ability, so we can conceive of things. we
Yeah,
can
to the
ascribe
extent that.
words to those concepts. And
Yeah,
there's
to the
no-
extent that
and
we
there's
know about
no,
that concept at a given
there's
point
no
in history.
truth value to the words, right? There's no one that can say, well, this is what this word means, right? Right? There's
I
no
mean,
truth
like
value to
generally
the words.
speaking, we construct words or the meaning of words based on whatever we know about the concept that the word describes at any given point in history.
Yeah.
A word may mean something different
agree.
at one point in history, but it's going to mean something different at another point in history, depending
Totally.
on what we learn
I
about
agree.
that word or that subject.
Good. So we're in agreement there.
Yeah, sure, totally. Words
Okay.
have meanings
Point-
that are built on
that-
our society. Hold on. Words have meanings built on like how we as a society understand a concept to be, and over time that changes as we as a society learn more about that concept. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I mean, just in every language, the whole purpose of words is to be able to talk about concepts, right? In every language, like that's
I mean, I
kind of a
guess I don't know. Like,
universal
what are
for-
you like?
for
Where's the
languages.
implication? Like, I'm telling you that, like, sure, we're supposed to be able to talk about concepts, but our
Right,
understanding of
so-
concepts change over
so-
time. So,
so
like,
the second-
yeah, but it sounds like you're trying to
Totally,
pigeonhole into like a
totally,
specific
yes.
point. So get to the point.
I'm trying to. I'm just trying to establish that's the first thing. That's the first thing that we all just agree that words refer to concepts. Now, different concepts refer to different words. We need different words for different concepts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like if we like let's say, you know,
If you're asking if this is getting into
we
the
have-
anyone, so anyone is a like the definition of woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. I disagree with that idea. Like if that's where this is going.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because a lot of people do have that definition. So this is what I want to
Well,
talk about. I want to talk about all the different ways of looking
I think
at
that a
this,
lot of people who say that
looking
they
at
are
this
a
picture.
woman is not that they're not necessarily
Mhm.
wrong. I just think that that is symptomatic of another
Right.
aspect of their identity. Like if someone
Well,
says
and
that they're a
that's what
woman,
a
for all
lot of-
intents and purposes,
that's
for
what a lot
other
of
reasons, they're
TERFs
probably a woman.
are arguing against. Right, but see, now that's what a lot of TERFs are trying to argue against because they hear people say, well, a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. And then people are trying to say, well, wait a minute. That's kind of offensive to women in some sense. It's like if we did that to black people and said, okay, well, anyone who identifies as black is black, they'd be like, well, based on what? Are we going to base it on racial stereotypes? That would be kind of offensive to black people, I would assume, right?
Yeah, but I feel like this
It's
is
the
a
same
good.
type of principle with women. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think it's an effective
Do you get what
shorthand
I'm
in most
saying?
times. When someone says that they're, so to be clear, right, if we're going off of social construction, a good way to be able to find this based on the overwhelming evidence is that objectively or like objective gender, like social construction, means it's comprised of A, the totality of one's social expressions, B, the average reasonable person's interpretations of those expressions, and C, the average reasonable person's categorization of one based on those interpretations. So if someone, for example, says, I identify as a woman, and they are otherwise presenting themselves as identifying as a woman, and other people reciprocate that to treat them as a woman and to categorize them as a woman, then for all intents and purposes, they are a woman.
Well,
Well,
let's
that's
talk about that a little bit.
I mean, like, hey, dude,
For
I mean,
all
like, yeah,
intents
that's
and
what the
because
scientific
you
consensus
keep
is. I mean, if you
saying-
want to, I mean, like,
you
yeah, if we
keep-
want to go through the
I
sources,
keep
then we
hearing
can.
the phrase. Hold on.
Okay.
I keep hearing the phrase that there's an overwhelming scientific consensus
Mhm.
that trans women are women. Like it's been decided academically that
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I got the World
And I
Health
just- I
Organization. I
just-
got the American Psychological Association. I got the Canadian Institutes of
They're-
Health
but
Research.
that's
I
not
got
what
the
they're
United
saying.
Kingdom's National Health.
They're not saying what you're thinking that they're saying, though.
Are you sure?
They're not saying that
Do we
they're
want to go
women.
through the sources? I mean, we can. Like, we can go. I have them right here.
Let's just.
Like, sure. If
let
you
me-
don't think
if
that
I-
they're, if you think I'm
if I
misstating
can
them,
go
then let's go through.
through.
It. Like here, we can just resolve this. We can just go through the sources.
Okay. This is what I hear. The way I interpret what they're saying is that gender is different than sex. Agreed, but they're not going to be able to say that trans women are women. That's not something that can be determined like under a microscope. You know what I'm
Gender
saying?
refers to the
Like,
characteristics
science
of
isn't gonna be able to
women,
de-
men, girls, and boys
Science
that are
isn't gonna be
socially
able to
constructed.
determine the
That are
identity.
socially constructed. This is the World Health Organization. Like, what the fuck are you saying, dude? This is
Okay.
literally the first sentence on the World
Well-
Health Organization.
Slow down. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you're
So
saying that
because
that's not
it's
what they
socially
said. That's literally what
constructed,
they said in the first
but you're
sentence
making
on the website.
You're making a leap of logic.
What's the leap of logic?
That is
Point
what
out
I
the
said.
leap of logic.
The leap of logic is that because gender is separate than sex, that woman refers to gender and that trans women are women. You know what I mean? Like that's not what they're saying.
No, that is what they're saying. Characteristics refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. These include norms, behaviors, and roles associated with being a woman, man, girl, or
Totally.
boy, as well as relationships with each other. As a social construct, gender varies from society to society and can change over time. That's literally exactly what
Yeah.
they say.
But they're not saying that trans women are women in there. Like that's no.
That's
there's
what it
nowhere
means.
saying-
That's
and
the
that-
logical conclusion. If gender is different from sex and it doesn't, then gender is determined by your social interactions, by your social construction. That's what it means. That's literally that's what it means. Like, I don't know how you could look at this and draw some other
So-
conclusion.
So how is gender gender determined like externally? Is what I'm saying. Like if
Gender is
can be
determined both subjectively. Yeah, the literature defines gender both
Internally.
objectively and subjectively. We already went over objective, and then there's also
Okay.
overwhelming evidence. that there is also subjective expression of gender, meaning it's comprised of the totality of one's involuntary thought processes, which lead one to making those expressions. The expressions that we talked about earlier, the one, like for example, when I go outside and I present as a woman because I am a woman and everyone in society treats me as a woman, not only do my expressions make me a woman because everyone treats me as a woman, they categorize me as a woman, but also I'm motivated by thought processes which are intrinsic to my being. I don't just choose to do this. This is who I am.
And that's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
awesome.
That's, I mean, like, not only is
I
that fine, but that's
support-
supported by
yeah.
the overwhelming academic consensus. So what's the
That's
issue?
great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the issue?
So we have, let's think of a concept like there's the concept of an adult human female, right?
Yeah,
It
there's
is a
that concept that
Can we-
comes from like a
can-
dictionary,
there
which
is a
is like,
concept.
yeah, which
no,
is
no.
contrary.
We can
Again, like
all-
that you're literally using the adult human female.
Hold
That like
on.
comes from a dictionary. You
No,
understand
no.
that that's like, only for like
Hold on.
colloquial understandings of words, right?
Just hold on.
I mean, like, you're literally doing the
Like-
adult human female as the dictionary definition of what it means to be a woman and not actually relying on
not
any
what I'm
academic
doing.
consensus.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm
It sounds
saying,
like when you start with, well, there's
without
this
the
concept
word.
of an adult human female. Like, you're literally
saying that
doing
it
the
is a
dictionary
concept.
definition of
Hold
what
on.
it means to be a woman
No.
like argument. That's what you're
No, no.
doing.
remove woman from the argument. I'm not arguing over the word woman. Okay.
You're not arguing with the word woman. Okay,
Let's-
so then what's the relevance of this? Tell me what the relevance of this is.
I'm trying to just establish something very simple. Okay.
Mhm.
It's very
right, what's a
simple.
very
And I
simple
think
thing?
that you will actually agree with what I'm saying. Okay. We've got different concepts for different words. We need different concepts for different words. Otherwise, we can't talk about those different concepts.
Yeah, I totally get
Do you
that.
agree with that?
Yeah, totally.
So it's like if we want to refer to red as apart from orange or yellow or blue, we need words for each of those concepts. We can conceive of each of them, right?
Yeah, no, I
If I
totally
say
get that.
green
Now, let me
Fanta, you're
ask you
gonna
a
think
counter
of green
question.
Fanta.
Yeah, let me ask you a
Just
counter
hold
question.
on.
No,
Can I-
no, no,
can
no.
I take
I
a-
need to follow up
can I-
because I think
okay.
that I see where your argument's going.
Okay,
So, like,
yeah. Let's clarify.
okay, fine. So
Go
you can
ahead.
also acknowledge that sometimes we can have concepts in society which, as it turns out, as we discover more about the concept, that turn out to be not representative in the way that we're using it, right? So, for
Totally.
example, we can have the concept of
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be like anti-theist, but a lot of very I don't know. I might be making the atheist really happy in chat, right? But I mean, like, at the point in history, God as a term in a lot of culture was taken to be an unquestionably true concept, right? Like, God as a concept was taken to be
Sure.
unquestionably true, like a thing that exists for sure. It's 100%. It's absolutely out there. But nowadays, the cultural understanding is that, like, actually, there's a lot more question into whether or not that's true. There are a lot of people who believe it to be true, but a lot of people, because they have not observed any evidence of God being true, have taken that to be more a construction of religion, right? Like, as we learn more about concepts, we could have an old understanding of a concept that could change over time and even become outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we don't have a word to refer to the concept, we can't refer to that concept. You know what I mean?
It depends if the concept
how do we
exists.
talk-
Like, for
how do
example, if
we
we want to
talk
talk about
about the
like binary
concept?
sex categories, which I think is where you're going, we actually find out that as we learn more
No,
and more
no,
about
no, no, no,
biological
no.
sex, that there aren't like single discrete biological sex categories. So actually, when we try to invent categories which like are ascribable to those concepts that are outdated, then actually what we're describing is something that doesn't exist.
Do you know? So the adult human female is a concept, though. Would you agree?
It's something.
It's
It's
like,
it's
if
an
it- we can all
argument. It's
conceive
an
of it.
argument from like literally. It's an argument I've heard that's used in like in dictionary definition like arguments for like turf arguments. Yes, that's literally the only place
Well,
I've heard that
how-
argument though. Like, if you're
I'm not
asking
really
me if I
making an
heard it
argument.
from
I'm not
other
making an
places, the
argument.
answer
I'm
is no.
asking you-
Yeah, if you're asking me if I've
Hold on,
heard
no,
it
I'm-
used in
I'm
other academic
asking
places, the answer
you.
is no. Like, no
not-
other academics
making an
use that
argument.
like that phraseology.
What I'm asking you is if, like, you can agree that there's the concept of a human, right?
Sure, I can
that
agree that
is
there's a concept of the
female,
human.
that is female, and there's a concept
Uh,
of humans
no.
that are male.
No.
There isn't. So
No, the
so
overwhelming
what
academic
you're
consensus
saying is-
shows that not only is sex
it
not
sex
binary,
is
but
unreal?
overall that it's because there are no single discrete categories to be able to sort people into single discrete biological sex categories, that it's more prudent to, instead of focusing on trying to categorize people holistically, that it's better to try and categorize individual characteristics of people. This is the whole bimodal distribution, layers of biological sex arguments, which seem to be where the academic community is moving towards.
Well, what words, if that was true, what words have they come up with any words to categorize like a third sex category?
No, they don't have to. Like, we don't categorize people based off of like their eye color or
Yeah.
their hair color, right?
Sure.
Like those, like
Yeah,
there's like,
because
unless there's a
that would be
compelling
irrelevant.
reason to categorize some people according to one single sex category, then there's no reason to.
Yeah.
And overwhelmingly, everyone's realizing, oh
Well,
shit, when we try to
let's-
invent like very sweeping categories, that there are
Let's
always
go
people who are like
back-
excluded from the rule and who break the rule.
Let's go back, like, let's think of like.
So we're gonna go to a different point, okay.
Like a tribe.
So we're gonna
Let's
go
think
to a
of
different point.
tribe.
So we're gonna completely
No,
shift the
it's-
argument.
it's
Okay,
the
okay,
same
wonderful.
tribe.
No, I just
No,
want to make
it's
everyone
the
clear that we're
same-
completely shifting away from the argument about like what the current biological literature or what the current like academic literature on biological sex is. Now we're moving to a completely unrelated argument about like fucking tribes. Okay, cool. Hit me up.
Hold on, it's the same.
Are you like a
it's the
gymnast?
same
How how
principle.
good are you at pivoting? Like holy shit, we were going over you on Twitter and you are amazing at pivoting.
It's the same principle. Okay, so if you're gonna have
It's
a
totally the
language,
same principle.
anywhere,
Okay, yeah, hit me.
and anywhere you are, let's say you want to have a civilization that's going to bear children, right, and thrive, like
Sure.
generation after generation.
Yeah, totally.
You're gonna have a concept of the female. You're gonna have a
Not
concept of the
necessarily.
male.
I
and
mean,
you
like
can
there
have
are
a
trans men who can be able
like,
to
like
have
mothers.
birth. I mean, like, it's not necessary to have a concept of like the female and the male, just like people with uteruses and people with penises.
Okay.
Like that's
But
not necessary.
You can see that there is the concept.
No, I can
there's a
see that there's
concept-
used to be an outdated concept, but it's not necessary anymore, my dude. Like, I can go onto a dating site,
So,
and if I see
hold
someone
on.
who's like trans, like
Right.
a trans guy, and for whatever reason that
So-
like putting my sexuality aside, if we wanted to get together, we could have a child. Like that's conceivable. The like labeling each of us
My
as like a biological
question-
male or a biological female isn't necessary there.
But how do we research? How do we research like females and males?
Well, we
And how
just
do we
research
trans
according to the
people?
qualities and set like we don't categorize people according to like many other single categories. We can research the color of eyes without categorizing
Yeah.
people entirely based off of their eye
Yeah.
color. We can
Right.
research the idea of
Right.
like a certain gamete production without like boiling down people to single biological sex categories. Like that's
Totally.
not necessary.
Totally.
Also, many
Yeah,
indigenous tribes
totally.
have a concept of
But
a third gender, two spirits.
reproduction-
Even eunuchs were considered a third gender
Sure.
outside of man and woman. So like it's obviously like it's not
Yeah, and they would
necessary,
have
my
words
dude.
for them.
Yeah, it's not.
But
But
they
it's
had
not
words.
necessary. It's not necessary to
had
put them
words.
into categories. Like two-spirit people were
But they had
able to
words.
reproduce using either large or small gametes. Like it wasn't necessary to put them into like one of two categories.
You're right. They don't have to be in one or two categories. I'm not trying to pin anyone into one or two categories. Trans women can be trans women, and trans men can be trans men. Of course.
Cool, but it's
what
also
I'm
wrong
trying
to
do
call them
is
like biological
recognize-
male and biological female according to the academic literature. Like that's usually what a lot of people do.
But
Like a lot
wouldn't-
of people will concede, yeah, no, gender, it's totally fine. Also, wait a second, how
I
is that
feel
consistent
like-
with your argument
I feel
about
like
trans
that would
women
be
in
the most
bathrooms?
base.
Like this is completely
like
contradictory to
that
your
would be
trans
the
women in
most
bathrooms
base.
argument. Like, dude, and like,
Hold on.
all right, yeah, go
I
ahead.
feel
go
like that would be the most based way. Because a lot of people like,
most
in
based
the
way,
in the
okay.
community think of just can I be heard out for a second?
Yeah,
I
go
feel
for
like the
it.
most like a lot of people in your community talk about like gender abolitionism, right? They throw out this term. They're gender abolitionists. Are you a gender abolitionist? Would
I have
you
to think
con-
more about it. I do like the
consider
idea
yourself-
that people shouldn't be forced into gender categories, which is usually the way that I conceive of gender
Totally.
abolitionism. Yeah, but like people can still adopt them
Okay,
if they
yeah.
want to. You're allowed to be a gender. It's just that we shouldn't force people into
For
categories.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think it's unrealistic to think that we can abolish gender. This is my own personal opinion because, like abolishing
Okay, cool. So
gender.
trans women are women.
Well, hold on.
Well, hold on. Holy shit.
So I feel-
Where is this? Like you just
You're-
said, yeah, trans
you're
women can be
jumping
women. So,
forward.
well, like, why is there the problem? Just say yes.
No,
why?
I didn't.
Like,
Hold
like,
on.
give me
No.
this. Just say yes. Just say trans women can be women. Just say
Listen.
it. Just say it.
The
Just say yes. Give me a
argument is
yes. Come on.
between-
Give me a yes. You can do it. I believe in you. You've already laid out the foundation for it. Just say yes.
The argument is whether or not trans women are
Holy
trans
shit!
women or trans women are women. You know
Trans
what I'm
women are
saying? It's
women.
a subtle thing.
Yeah,
The
trans women are
argument
women.
is between
Trans
whether or
is
not
like
they're trans women or women.
Trans women are women.
And
Women is a descriptor of women. You can have black women, you can have tall women, you can have short women, you can have trans women. They're a
but we
descriptor.
can't. We have to be able to understand, though, like that there's still gonna be a concept.
Do you think that black
of
women
adult
can't
human
exist as
female.
women? Do you think
How
that
do we
black women
talk
aren't
about-
women? Do you think that Hispanic women aren't
course they
women?
are.
Do you think that gay women aren't
They're
women?
all adult human females. They're all adult human females.
Except that they aren't.
See what I'm saying?
Literally, that like we
Yes,
just
they
went over the
are.
academic consensus on that.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we
We
did.
didn't
Do we want to go
establish that
here? We
anyone-
can go over it again. I will take as much time
The
with you as I need
science
to.
isn't saying. Hold on.
I will go
The
over.
science
Listen, I
isn't
will go
saying
over
that
as much of
females
it as you
aren't
need
female.
to. Like, do we want to go through? Like, I know you already talked with with Avi about how sex is in the binary. So you already agree with that, right? You agree that sex is in binary. You agree with that, right?
I agree that binary is not a useful term for sex.
Holy
but there's
shit!
sex-
You can't even concede a
that's what I
debate that you've
said.
already gotten blown the
And
fuck out
hold
in,
on.
dude. How can you be
No,
able
no,
to
no,
like
no.
how
I
did
came
how do
in
you
the very first thing
function?
Can I
How do you
speak?
function?
Can I speak?
Yeah,
the
go
very
for it.
first thing I said on Avi's stream was that I don't. Was this? I said, hey, I don't. I'm not arguing that sex is binary. That's the
Yeah,
very
yeah,
first
you're
thing I
just
said on
arguing.
Avi's
Yeah, go
stream.
ahead, go ahead.
And I said I had a question for him. I was like, how do we categorize the people that, because he had an example of someone who had double XY, and it was a male, but he had a large gamete in that had developed in him, right? So I was like, my question was, how did the experts currently classify this?
Yeah, we just
And-
define people according to those qualities. We just say
Right.
this is a person
hold
who
on.
has XY chromosomes and who produces a large gamete. Like that's what you say. Like take that, copy
Right.
paste it
Yeah, yeah,
onto
yeah.
paper. That's how you describe them. You don't need to
Totally.
say
Yeah,
this is a woman
sure.
who's also kind of a man, or
But-
this is a man who's kind of a woman, or this is something in between. You just describe the qualities. That's what scientists do.
I'm not sure though.
You're not sure though?
There's
Okay,
still
hold
a-
on. We
there's
can
still a
yeah, we
sex-
listen. We
there's
can
a
go
still-
through. We can go through
There's
the
still
evidence.
a sex determination. There's still a sex determination on that person. And I'm pretty sure that this person was like a
No,
male.
literally,
had
there is a
large
growing
gamete.
consensus that there's no single, this is a direct quote, no single biological measure that unassailably places each and
Yeah.
every human into one of two categories, male or female. So evaluating sex according to layers of biological sex is more accurate. For example, chromosomal sex, fetal
Totally.
gonadal sex, fetal hormonal
Right.
sex, internal
Right.
reproductive
And
sex,
I feel
external
like
genital sex.
the way
Like
they do
that's
it
the
is
way
they
that
take
scientists are
many
doing this right
criteria
now.
to make a sex determination. Yeah.
No, they
take
categorize
many-
they categorize the individual qualities,
Yeah.
not the entire organism. There's a difference in that. Do you acknowledge there's a difference between categorizing the qualities and the entire person?
But ultimately, they make a
No, they
make a
don't.
determination on the entire person. They
No,
don't.
it literally. I'll read it again.
The
I
whole
really want to
person
drill this
isn't a
into.
thing?
There is no this is a
Okay,
direct
okay.
quote from this publication by a Brown alumnus, a preeminent scholar on biological sex. There is no single biological measure that unassailably places each and every human into one of two categories, male or female. So evaluating according to sex of biological sex, or according to layers of biological sex, is more accurate. What more do you want from that?
What's the word that we call the people? Like
You
if
call
meet
them
someone in the street-
people. You just call them
That's
people.
fine.
If they
Yeah,
are
yeah.
a woman as
So-
far as a gender, then you call them she, her. If they're a guy, you call them he, him. But like that's what you just call them a fucking person.
That's fine. That's fine.
Then that's it.
My
That's it.
concern
Stop.
is-
Stop. No, stop speaking. Stop speaking. That's fine.
Okay,
Yes, that's
okay.
it. That's it. We're in agreement. That's it. We're good. We're good. We're totally in agreement.
Yeah,
We're fine.
yeah,
Yes.
right.
That's it.
People
This is
with-
not hard.
People with Klinefelter syndrome have Klinefelters. People with Turner syndrome have Turner syndrome. We
Yes,
can,
we just
can give
define
words
according
each
to
of these
single quality.
syndromes.
Like this is not
Yeah.
not like I'm sorry.
We're
Like
not
this is
in
the end of
argument.
it. Stop
arguing.
speaking. Stop speaking. Okay, cool, wonderful. So
Okay.
what's your problem with trans people going into bathrooms? Like what's your problem with trans women going into bathrooms? Like what's the problem? If we acknowledge that we aren't defining people according to like binary categories of biological male and biological female, and gender is fine, like trans women can be women, then what's the problem with trans people going in the bathrooms? Like you said repeatedly on Twitter about talking about like
So,
voyeurs and expositionists. Like if you
Yes.
are like if gender
Yes.
is the consideration, then
So
where's
I
the issue?
really hope I can speak so your audience can understand like my position on it.
Okay, cool. So also, by the
Okay.
way, I'm just gonna call you out on it. It seems like you're just like
Okay.
dog whistling, talking about like trans people when you say voyeurs and expositionists. You use that term a lot, and it seems like you just use that so you don't get fucking like yeeted off of Twitter. Why do you use
Okay,
that so often?
so
Why is that the concern?
I would
There's no evidence
really-
that that's like a
I'd
valid
really like
concern.
to
Why
be
do you
able to
use
be
that?
heard.
Yeah, go for it.
I'd really like to be able to be
Yeah,
heard.
go for it. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so here's my position on the bathroom, which I've made clear on Twitter many times.
Yeah, we have it up on
You know,
screen right
when
now.
it
We're all
actually
looking
gets
at
to
it.
that point.
Yeah, we're looking at it.
Okay, so there's a lot. I mean, Twitter, the way Twitter works, everything can be taken out of context. But let me make it very clear because
Okay, yeah,
I'm
please
here,
clarify. Please
and
clarify your
you got me
position.
on. You got me on the string.
Please clarify your position.
Trans women, trans people should use whatever bathrooms they should pass. And in fact, listen, I feel like trans people, they don't want to jeopardize their ability to use the bathrooms that they pass in. The last thing a trans woman wants to do is do anything that's going to jeopardize their ability to use the women's bathroom, right? They
Jill,
don't want
so
to
why
use
do you
the
have
men's
an issue
bathroom,
with
and they shouldn't use the men's bathroom if they pass.
So
Now,
wait,
the
are you turning
issue-
into a true scum? Is passing the qualifier now? What if someone does everything that they possibly can,
No.
they still don't pass?
So no.
No. Okay,
just
well,
wanna
you
be
said
heard.
passing, like you said, if they pass. So I'm wondering if there's
Right.
a qualifier now, if like
Right.
that passing is being brought into this.
So now let's think about it.
Okay, let's think about
When
it.
trans men want to use the men's bathroom,
Mhm.
what standard do they go by?
They try
gonna
to
try their
present
best
as a
to
guy. I
pass.
don't know. They try to do whatever they do
Yeah.
to be perceived as a guy. Yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah,
asking me.
right.
I'm not a guy.
But
Like
wh-
you're asking me like to conceive of like
Totally.
what a mental state is for a guy.
I
and
want
I
to.
can't tell you.
I want to have a really just like a rational think. Like let's think about this. A trans man really.
I mean, you're
has
asking me to
do a
speculate,
lot-
but okay.
Yeah. But let's just think about like in general. Of course, there's going to be trans men that are super ballsy, big boobies. They're just going to walk right into the men's bathroom. But in general, I don't really see that happening as much. They're going to try to do their best because they don't want to walk into the vulnerable situation of the men's bathroom. In
Yeah,
general,
totally.
the men's bathroom is kind of like the vulnerable place. The trans women don't want to go in there, and neither do women. And trans men who don't look like men. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, people.
Do
Hold
you
on,
agree
hold
with
on.
that?
Wait. Hold on. You're speculating. So you're saying that trans men don't want to go into men's bathrooms? Like what?
Oh no. I'm saying if they don't pass.
I'm
Like,
not sure
if they
about that
still
one.
look
I
a
mean, like
lot
if
like-
trans men don't pass, I mean, like you're not like you're making a massive leap to say that they don't want to go in there.
Well, I'm generalizing in general that
You're
like,
generalizing
if
what? Wait,
someone
are you
looks-
making a claim that like they would feel unsafe in
Yeah.
there, or that they wouldn't go in because they would feel unsafe?
I mean,
like, who are
I'm
you to
not a
speak on their
woman either,
behalf?
but in general, I don't see many women trying to go into the men's bathroom. If
You don't see
they
many,
look
but they're
like
not women. They're men.
Sure.
Yes.
Let
So
me
you're
just-
right. We don't see
hold
women
on.
going into the men's bathroom. Yes, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, trans men are trans men
on.
are men,
Just
and they go into the men's
slow down,
bathroom.
Slow down.
Yeah, I'm just
Slow
clarifying
down,
the position.
slow down.
I'm sorry.
like-
Yeah.
So like there's a certain standard that trans men hold themselves to as far as being able to put themselves in that position of the men's bathroom.
I mean,
You know
I don't know
what
about that.
They're
I
gonna do
feel
their
like
best to pass.
like guys just want to go take a piss. Is my understanding.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. And that's why I feel like, the bathroom issue isn't the best place to talk about the trans.
So
thing,
why
but
did you bring
there
this
is-
up in a
hold
like in a
on,
Twitter thread
because-
about me getting top
because
surgery? You brought it up
I would
multiple
love to-
times. And why are you backing away from this so much? You're backpedaling
I'm
so
not.
much, my dude.
I'm not. No, I'm trying to explain the position.
I mean,
I
like
think
your
same
position is
position.
right
Someone
here.
who-
But if you ever
someone
get
who's
convicted
listening
for a
carefully
crime or
might
decide to be a
be able to
competitive
hear it.
athlete, don't expect that your identity
Hold
should
on.
grant you a pass into the women's sports or prisons, etc. Yeah.
So,
What's
so there's a dilemma here.
what's
Just
the
hold
dilemma
on, please. The dilemma, okay?
Okay,
So
okay,
we
yeah.
want to keep. Let's agree. We want to keep women and trans women safe from males, and that doesn't mean all men are bad. No one's making that argument. No one's
no.
saying that men are bad. okay?
No.
But we want to have spaces where trans women can go, right?
I want
Away
to
from
just let
males.
them into like women's
Away
spaces.
from
It's not
men.
matter like there's not like an evaluation of safety. It's just
Oh my
to go
God.
take a piss.
Sure. Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
so you
and
agree that like because I'm not sure if you were
in
watching
the
earlier, but, like
bathroom
most of the
issue-
studies like literally bathrooms were promulgated not according to like some biological differences between men and women, but like out of paternalistic desires of cis men to protect women, regardless of whether or not those claims were actually accurate, right? Like this is the same exact the exact same mentality that you're using is the same one that justified fucking racial segregation. Oh, we should, if we want to keep women
No,
safe, well,
no,
we
no,
should
no,
keep
no.
the black people out of
Hold
bathrooms.
on.
Hold on. Well, then why
No,
are
no,
you
no,
bringing
no.
up this like concern of safety?
Hold
Like, what's the
on.
concern of safety, my
Yeah,
dude?
because women of all races want single-sex spaces, and it's totally racist to think that they don't.
What do you mean they don't? We have
Okay.
we have surveys and studies showing that's not the case.
Dude.
There's literally a survey done over in the
Really?
UK showing that
You think-
overwhelmingly
you
cis women
think
are fine with
women
trans
in-
people in the bathrooms, like in like female
When-
toilets. Like, dude, you're
When
just
trans
wrong.
hold on, when trans people are defined by like a true scum definition, then yes, they're not
No,
okay.
it's just
But
they
see,
no.
hold
The survey
on.
was literally just, hey,
When
are you
someone
fine with trans
actually
people in
has-
women's toilets? And everyone just said yes. People don't care, my dude.
There's-
In fact, there was a study that showed
No,
that
there's other-
overwhelmingly cis women don't care. It's only guys. It's only cis guys who care.
No.
Yes.
No,
Do we want to go
no.
over the evidence?
There's
Hold on. I'll
other
pull
studies.
this up right
There's
now. I
Other
will-
studies.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
other studies that say when they specify the question.
Oh, do you have the other
about,
studies?
like-
Yeah, show me the studies. Yeah, show me them. Because I went over fucking everything with my
okay.
Discord this week, and I fucking looked at
Right.
everything on this. Yeah, please show me the
I-
studies that say that cis women actually care.
It's surveys. Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
I
no, show
don't-
the drop it
I'm
in.
trying
Yeah,
to-
no, drop it, please. I want to see that. I really want to see it. And
I'll-
also, don't give me something
okay.
from like a fucking turf
It's
website
gonna-
because that seems to be what you like to rely on. I'm sorry, you
It's
weren't
gonna
like
take me,
trying to
like-
rely on like
it's-
a
it's
survey
a
from a turf
huge-
website, were you? That's about to be really awkward if that's literally the source that you're about to cite. That would be super awkward for you.
I'm not even on Twitter right now. It's a huge like sidetrack. Okay.
I mean, it's
But
not really a
listen,
sidetrack. You're
the
saying that
point
women
I'm trying to
overwhelmingly
make-
care, and I'm saying actually there are literally surveys and studies showing that that's not the case. So what's
Do
the issue?
Trans women care about having women's spaces. apart
Trans
from men?
women
Do trans
care
women
about
care?
taking a piss in the bathroom
Why?
that they're not like.
Yes. Which bathroom? Which bathroom do they want?
In the one
use?
according
men's
to their
bathroom or the women's
gender.
bathroom?
In the one according to their gender.
Why do women want to have their own bathroom apart from the men's?
They don't. It's something that people don't
They
care
don't?
about.
Okay, so everything should be unisex. Is that what you're saying?
Things can be unisex. Yeah, totally.
What about prisons? Should prisons be unisex?
Whoa, this is a random pivot, but yeah, probably.
Okay, how are we going to prevent pregnancies in unisex prisons?
You can be able to figure out some ways.
And
I mean, like there are
children.
ways to be able to prevent like sex offenders from being able to have sex with people in there. Even though people always love making like vague
Think
allusions to
about
like,
that.
oh, you know, trans predators in women's prisons are going to
Unisex
go around
prisons.
raping everyone. Even though there are like policies like prisons know how to be able to prevent those things from happening. Like they already do it. They already
And
deal
the
with
way
rapists
they
in
would do
prisons.
it, yeah, totally. And the way they do it is to keep the men and the women apart because they don't want to have people having unwanted pregnancies
Stop
in
it, stop it,
prison.
stop it, stop it. No.
Yeah.
They have policies against rape.
Unwanted pregnancies in prison.
They have policies.
Yeah,
well, honestly, that
but
probably doesn't fucking
They
matter.
keep them separated.
Honestly, that probably
Yeah.
like what does it matter if you have like unwanted people want to go have sex
know-
and like that's no different from them having sex IRL. Like so what?
Not
What's
in
the
a
issue?
jail. If someone's
Not in
got
jail.
20-year
Why? What's the
prison
arbitrary
sentences, they don't
distinction?
wanna-
Why does that
You're gonna
matter?
raise the babies in jail. You're gonna raise the babies in
There
jail.
are parents in prison right now. Like
I
parents
know,
can
but
get prison.
listen.
Parents can be pregnant in prison right now. This isn't an argument. And like there are ways to deal with rapists. They know how to deal with rapists. Every time someone tries to bring up like, oh yeah, there's so much of a problem with trans predators raping women in prisons, when in fact they already normally are put into solitary confinement to make sure that doesn't fucking happen. Like, dude,
And
this
that's
is not an
good.
argument.
That's good. This is where the discussion needs to be, though. We need to talk about all these issues because when people are just saying, "Hey,"
I just have general
blue
concerns.
can-
I just have
blue
heavy
can be
quotations
red.
concerned.
hold on, blue can be red because purple can be red, and so anything
No
that
one is
identifies
no one
as
is making that
purple
argument.
is red.
No one is
But
making that
that's
argument.
kind
my
of
dude.
the similar. That's the similar like logic that we're taking.
No,
And
it's
if,
not. People
like,
are like gender is defined objectively and subjectively according to the majority scientific consensus. No one is saying that they're the same thing as another.
The only point I'm trying to make.
I mean, it sounds like you're
really,
skipping
really,
around to a lot of
the
points. I mean, now
only
we're on
point-
prisons. How the fuck did we get here?
Well,
like, God, dude, are
listen,
you fucking
because
gymnast? Like, how
well, because-
how good are you at pivoting? Like, holy
no,
shit.
listen. All of these things are relevant in a society. We
All
can talk
these
about
are,
health
we live in a
data.
society.
Let's
Do you
talk
watch
about
the
health
Joker?
data. No, I'm talking about we have health data to learn about the differences between men and women, or
Are
males
you
and
defining
females,
trans women as
right?
men?
Because all of this, I'm saying males and females, health data. If we want to know like cardiovascular disease, we want to know how this thing affects males and females, right?
Cool.
We need to collect the data on males and females, correct? Because there's a lot of
Well,
differences
I mean,
on like
it seems
the
like
way
we might need to find
the
new
way
ways to be able
things
to
figure
collect that
out.
data. I mean, like maybe we should move away from those means of collecting data because oftentimes they are not actually representative, or oftentimes, like especially when we're talking about people who are like trans people, they're not able to like accurately capture people. I mean, like, dude, like I've taken
Well,
like
but
I have a
trans
background
people
in
are still
research
gonna
statistics, and I
need
have a
to be
background in
studied.
research methods. When you have bad means of
Yeah.
collecting data, that just means that you improve and have better ways to collect your data. It doesn't mean that
Yeah,
like,
so
oh,
how do
the
we
way
collect
the
the
old way of
data?
doing things, oh, that's definitely the best way of doing things forever.
But how do we collect data on trans people? How do we
Oh, also,
study,
hey,
like,
wait,
trans
go back.
population?
So what about the cis men who are guards in female
How do we
prisons who
do it?
assault those women? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that about? Do you have any problem with that? Do you think that like only cis women guards in prison should be allowed to be there? In that fact, like what about like cis women who might
That's
be
cool.
predisposed to
That
rape
is
other people in prisons? Do you think that they
Alright.
should be allowed in there? Like holy shit, dude, like this logic falls apart every single time.
No, because you're trying to rely on that fact that like, oh, because there's lesbians that are, or you know, then we should allow gay men in because
I'm saying that we criminalize the
it's
actions.
ridiculous.
And also, what about gay? Wait, what's this about gay men? Are you starting to define trans women as gay men now?
Sorry,
Like,
sorry.
holy shit. Like, we criminalize the
sorry,
actions,
like-
not the category of persons. We already criminalize sexual
Right.
assault. We don't need to criminalize a category of persons, especially when there's no evidence to do so.
So hold on.
Just hold on. Oh
When
my God. Are
someone
you
is
actually going to give
convicted-
any meaningful
when
arguments?
someone is convicted, just hold on. When someone is convicted of rape,
Uh-huh.
then what prison should they go to?
Mhm.
Should they
Yeah,
just
they
get
should-
to choose? Well, I want to go to the women's prison because that's where
They should go to the one with the
females
gender
are.
that identifies with them. We should probably move towards single-sex prisons. I mean, like, that's definitely an open discussion. But I mean, like, if they are sexual predators, like, prisons already have ways to be able to deal with sexual predators so that
Did
they
you
don't
just
rape
say
people.
we should move to single-sex prisons? Did you say single-sex prisons?
Oh, sorry, single-gender prisons. Yeah, we'll move to single-gender prisons.
Right. So now, how do we determine
no,
what
wait.
gender someone is? Is it just totally
Oh,
what
wait, no,
someone
hold
says
on.
they are?
Hold on. Actually, wait. No, we should move to gender-neutral prisons. There we go.
What is that? What do you mean? Like unisex?
Like people, like everyone just goes to the same prisons.
Yeah, like unisex prisons.
Like,
To me,
Not
this
like-
seems very impractical. Very
well, I mean, like
impractical
unisex
as far
probably
as-
isn't a great concept either. But I mean, like, sure. I mean, like, however you want to define it, everyone goes to the same place.
Yeah, to me that seems very impractical. And I mean,
It
we'll let
seems
your
very
audience
impractical. I mean,
decide if
dude, it
that's
doesn't really matter if you
impractical or
think
not.
that it seems impractical. Like
put
this
all
is
the
what,
men and women.
like, it doesn't really matter if you think it's impractical. What matters
It
is whether or
does,
not they have
though. It
policies in
does.
place to be able to deal with these people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your personal feelings on this is. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I'm not sure who the
Exactly.
fuck
It
you are.
doesn't.
Actually, hold on. Actually, no, hold on. I didn't ask this at the front end, so I do need to clarify. Where'd you get your PhD from?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I do need to clarify. Like, where'd you get your PhD
What
from?
do you mean
Should I like
PhD?
listen to your opinions? Like, where'd you get your PhD
I
from?
don't need a PhD.
You don't need a
I have
PhD.
a
Where'd you get your
degree in
Where'd you get your master's
education.
from? Where'd you get your master's
I have a
from?
education.
Where'd you
I
get
have
your
a degree.
master's from? Where'd you get your master's from? You got a PhD
I
in
don't
psychology,
have any.
sociology, criminology, any of that? Any background in any of
All
those
I want
areas?
to talk about is I want to be able to have.
So
a
that's
word
a
for the
goddamn
concept,
no,
so we can
isn't
talk
it?
about concept.
Okay, wonderful.
I
10 out of
have a
10.
degree, but not a master's and PhD.
What's
Like,
your
come on,
What's your
man.
degree?
Like,
What's
I
your
just want
degree
to be able
in?
to talk about
What's your degree in?
interdisciplinary studies. It's an education degree.
Oh,
I wanna
awesome,
talk about-
wonderful. So do you actually? So you don't
Okay,
have any
so-
degree on like biology, sociology, criminology, or anything related to what we're talking about?
I don't have a degree in any of those things, but
Cool. So
we
do you
are
think that
talking
we should
about the
listen to the
concept.
people who actually do? Question. Hard question. Do you
Yes,
think that we
we-
should listen
yes,
to people who
yes.
actually study these things and who are actually like experts in this field?
Sure. There's lots
That-
of fields.
then that's
And
it.
So the experts
That's
are
it.
the experts saying unisex? Are the experts saying unisex prisons? Are the
Uh,
experts saying unisex prisons?
I haven't looked into it. No.
Well, okay, then that's not it. All right.
I mean, like when we're talking about like whether
the
or not.
experts are not saying unisex prisons, bro. I mean, sorry.
Hey, do that again, and I'm kicking you out. Cause like, holy
I-
shit, dude. You
that
said
was-
that you were. Oh, hold on. I mean, like, if you really like, holy fuck, dude.
I'm just like you're yelling
Like,
at me.
actually,
It's-
you know what? No. Why don't you just like full mask off? Like, why are you even talking about this? Like, just fucking go mask off. I know that on Twitter you were like literally the whole discussion started with you harassing me about like talking about the fact that I was getting top surgery. Like, dude, you're such a fucking bigot. Just fucking own it. Just be who you are. Just do it. You got it. Be it. Mask off.
This is what I think. No. I think this is really important though. For people
You think
to
this
be
is
able
very
to
important?
discuss
Yes, I just
things
have
with accurate language.
concerns. I just have
Accurate language.
concerns.
This is my entire point. This is my entire point with accurate language. Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
and I operate with
if you're
accurate
gonna get a
language.
surgery, it's good to be able to be like, hey, look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do whatever it is. I don't necessarily need to know it. I'm just like, when I look out on the field of the whole world, right? And I want to see people using accurate language. I want to see protections for trans
Is
people.
top
I wanna see
surgery
protections
not
for
accurate
women, and I
language?
wanna-
Holy fuck!
It isn't.
It's not
No,
accurate? Are you goddamn serious? Oh my god, I can't fucking take you seriously. I'm sorry. I cannot take this seriously. Like, holy shit. You're actually going to sit here and tell me unironically that top surgery isn't accurate for me, what I'm getting. Like, you understand, surgery
know
on the
if it
top
is.
part of
I
my
don't know if it
body.
is.
Like, how is this not descriptive? Like, holy shit, dude. Like, how is this? And also, literally, my doctor calls it top surgery. Everyone calls it top surgery. It's more inclusive
That's
language because
fine.
sometimes
That's
it's not.
okay.
It's fine. It's okay. Then why did you
And I
say
get it.
top surgery? You mean breast implants. You aren't 12 years old anymore. Like, holy shit, dude. You're so fucking two-faced on Twitter versus here right now. Like, holy shit.
No, my point on
Nah,
Twitter in that point
okay,
was
okay,
like,
okay.
I had a point.
You had a point.
and
You
I
had a
was
point.
trying to
Yeah,
make
that
it,
I'm not
yeah.
12 years old
And I'm
anymore.
trying to
Yes,
make it.
apparently only children use top surgery as language. Yeah, totally. 100%. That's a fucking joke, dude. Are you serious?
My point is that if we're going to be doing, if people are going to be doing things that are going to affect their whole lives, we should be able to use the language that's like serious language about it. Okay. These are
And this isn't
issues.
serious language? Are you fucking serious? Are you serious that
not.
this is not serious
not.
language? How is it not? Explain
It's
to me
a
right now.
top
How is this
surgery.
like when this is the language that my doctor, that my medical provider, that everyone online uses, that fucking everyone is using right now? How is this not serious language? Do you want me to call up my fucking doctor
They're
and be like, hey,
trying
what do I
to-
call this? Is this my top surgery? And my doctor be like, yeah, what the fuck? Are you being like stupid right now? Like, yeah, of course it's your top surgery. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Also, this is the reason why it's relevant that you don't have a PhD in anything, because clearly your opinion, I'm sorry, but your opinion really doesn't mean two shit to me if you don't have any reason for me to believe it. And like you're
It
saying that
shouldn't
like,
be
oh, this is
offensive
just
to
like
talk-
non-descriptive
to use
language, or
a
oh, this
actual
is
language.
infantile language. That doesn't mean shit to me. Like, get a fucking life, dude.
It shouldn't be like so offensive to just have, more.
It shouldn't
more
be just so
descriptive language,
offensive for
right?
to
Yeah.
react to someone saying, you mean breast implants? You aren't 12 years old anymore. Yeah, no, why are you getting so offended? Why are you getting so triggered, Snowflake? Why are you getting so offended at me implying that like you're using infantile language and calling you a 12-year-old? Why are you getting so offended? Why are you getting so triggered? Yeah, because like you weren't explicitly intending to do that right there. Totally.
I wasn't necessarily trying to hurt your
I
feelings.
wasn't
The thing about it
necessarily
is-
trying to do that. Holy shit, dude. You're so fucking bad faith. You're a fucking
No,
joke.
what I mean was I'm not trying to hurt your feelings about it. I'm saying, like,
Yeah, of
if
course
it's-
you
if you're
are.
gonna-
Yeah, you mean breast
No,
implants. You
I'm
aren't
not.
you aren't 12 years old anymore. Top
Why would
surgery,
that-
access
why
into
would
all
that
women
be-
single sex spaces isn't spelled left alone. Try again. Like, holy
That's
shit, dude.
right,
Are you
that's
fucking
right.
real? Are you fucking serious? You're not trying to offend people? That's literally all you do is harass like trans women on the internet. That's all that you fucking do. Like, what do you do outside of harassing trans people on the internet? I actually don't know because you spend so much fucking time doing this. Like, do you have a life
kind of
outside of
acceptable.
harassing trans people on the internet? I have to know.
For sure. I do a lot of art and all this sort of stuff.
That's wonderful. I'm happy.
And I've got
Do more of
kids, and
that.
I've
It's
got kids and all
healthier
that
for
stuff.
you.
So let me just explain something. There's this dilemma that still exists.
What
right?
dilemma?
How do we keep
Everything's fine.
women? How do we keep women and trans women safe from males?
I mean, you're operating from a
when-
fundamentally faulty
men-
idea. You're operating from a fundamentally faulty idea, dude. Like, you're literally. I can also
Like,
link you. Do you
it
want me to link
seems
you the
like-
study on
it
this
seems
issue?
like the-
Yeah, like the whole
It seems
idea
like
of
the
bathrooms
goal
existing
is
to protect
get
people.
rid of women's spaces in general. And
We're
it
not
seems
trying
like
to
it's
get
gonna
rid of
bite
women's
trans women
spaces,
in
but like
foot.
the fundamental premise that you're operating
like-
from,
it's a
like if we're going to keep
self-defeating
gendered
argument. I'm
spaces,
saying-
the point isn't to protect women; it's to let people of that gender use those spaces. That's it.
Right. But then think about it. It
But
gets
it's
to a
no.
point
That's it,
where-
dude. It's not supposed to be
it gets to a point
protection.
where
It's
it's
not just like
self-defeating.
segregation. Men aren't like
It's
inherently
self-defeating.
dangerous or whatever. Like it's just like they're
I didn't say they were.
like all that this is just
It's
letting trans people
self-defeating,
into
though.
gendered spaces that match them and trans men matches that in the spaces that match them. That's it. That's
Right.
all that this is.
It's self-defeating in the end.
How is it
it
self-defeating?
defeats-
I can go take a piss
because
and it doesn't
because
matter.
It defeats. Hold on. And I think you should be able to take the piss where you need to take a piss. 99% of trans people are never going to go to jail.
By the way,
and most of them aren't going to be playing at sports. And so that's fine. They should be able to go pee where they need to go pee. That's totally fine. We're in
by the way,
agreement.
did you ever answer
We're
the
in
question of
agreement.
whether trans women are women?
I answered the question that they are not women because they can't be.
Holy shit!
Logically.
Holy shit! All right, so you're just
They
a
can't
science
be women.
denier. You're
I
just
wanted
a
to go to my
science denier, my
argument.
dude. You're just a science
No.
denier, my dude.
No,
you just deny
there is no
science.
science.
What?
No, there's no science that can say.
Yes, there
there's
is!
No science.
I'm
that can say
literally
trans women are
looking
women.
at it right now.
That's like saying there's science that purple can be red. Can purple be
No! That's not the same.
Okay.
It's literally not. I'm looking at it right now, like the overwhelming academic consensus
point.
from the World Health
You're
Organization,
leaping.
the American Psychological
You're
Association,
reaching.
the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, the United Kingdom's National Health and Service. You can look all that in the
You're
face and say,
reaching,
"Oh,
though.
there's no science." How the fuck can you look? Like, how can you live with yourself? How do you function
listen,
mentally? Like, this
They're
is
not
insane to me. This
saying-
is mind-boggling to me.
Riley. They're not saying that trans women are women. They're saying
Yes,
trans women
they
are trans women.
are. Yes, they
They're saying
are.
trans women are trans women.
No, they're saying that they're women. Gender is a social construct. And because women is a gender category and gender is societally constructed, then trans women can be women. That's how that works.
How? Okay. How do we talk about the concept of adult human female?
That's an
How do we
outdated
talk about
concept. That's literally an outdated concept.
It
You're trying to
can't-
say,
it's not.
how do we
It's
talk about
never
this
gonna be
concept? Yes,
outdated.
it is. I just cited you all the
No, it's
evidence that it
not.
isn't. Yes, it is. My dude, do we want to go over it? I will go over it
No,
again.
listen.
How many times?
Listen.
How many times do we got to
To
do this,
say-
old man?
As long as we have a child rearing like civilization, as long as we need to have children,
You can
there's
just
going to
talk.
be the
Yeah, you can just
concept
talk about
of
people according to
females.
like their reproductive function. You
There's
can just
gonna
say
be the
there are people with
concept of
uteruses and
females.
people with penises. This is what health organizations
That's-
do right now.
that's
People
so
bent over backwards
disrespectful.
because people
No.
are talking about like women or people with uteruses. But like that's the more descriptive language because not everyone who's a woman has a
No.
uterus, and other people aside from women have uteruses.
So the entire gender critical argument, like,
It's stupid. It's
if
anti-science.
I want to say this. Think about it. How
Yeah,
can
think about it. I
anyone
mean,
who
like,
calls
dude,
themselves
like, I'm
gender
like, do you think
abolitionist-
about anything that you
how can
say?
someone who's-
Like, I have to ask, like, for
how
as
can
much thinking that
anyone
you're
who is
asking me to
gender
do, like, you're
abolitionist
doing like
see-
very little self-reflection in any of this. Literally, in the entire Twitter discussion, you never responded once to any of the arguments that anyone
Which
made.
one?
You're asking me to think. You're
I
asking
responded
me.
to every one of them.
You respond. Oh, let's
I
totally talk
responded to
about
every
that.
one of them.
Yeah, this is what you've chosen to do with your life. Obsessed over a small minority that just wants to be left alone exists. Maybe you should get a hobby. Access in the single women's
No,
spaces
no,
isn't
no,
spelled
no.
left alone. That's literally avoiding it. Let's go to
That's
another one.
right.
Sometimes
No,
I'm
no,
about to
no.
go pee. Get the fuck over it. Cool, go pee. But if you
That's
ever get
addressing
convicted
it.
of a crime or decide to be compassionate, a competitive athlete, etc., don't expect your identity should grant you a pass into women's sports. Holy shit, you literally go from, oh yeah, you can totally use that bathroom, but if you ever want to go into there, or if you ever want to like, go into a prison, or if you ever want to go into a prison, or you ever want to go into like a women's bathroom, or you ever want to go and compete in women's sports, well, then you should not let your identity let you do that. Or let's go to another one. This could possibly be the only. This could be the only possibility. This could possibly be an issue. The only time that this could possibly be an issue is at the elite level of a given sport. Your assumption is rooted in misogyny, where you assume that cis women are too incompetent to possibly compete with anyone you wrongly consider to be a man. Instead of acknowledging the idea whatsoever, you just literally say, "Oh, you're just fucking lying." Like literally, it's so convenient when everyone who you disagree with and makes a substantive critique to your arguments somehow is just conveniently lying. That's so weird how that happens, isn't it? Let's go through another example. Like we can keep doing this all night. Oh yeah, the best one. When Jangles told you, quick, which bathroom should this person go to, and how would you check, right? And he cited like the example of like the very clearly woman, and you literally ignore it completely. Quick, tell me why people who avoid walking alone at night are more concerned with gender identity of strangers that they might come across in dark alleys opposed to their sex, which is just a fucking that's just
slow
fear
down.
mongering. There's no basis for that
Slow down.
whatsoever. There's no basis for that, and
Slow
you
down.
avoided. No, dude, you're so fucking dishonest that
down.
this is amazing to me.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down.
At least
Let's-
at least you're
cover
able to
that
fucking
last
at least you're able to
example.
fucking like
Let's
treat me
cover the last
paternalistically
tweet.
like you do women. At least you're able to like talk down to me and be like, slow down, take it easy there, honey. I feel so nice that you're able to act so
I'm trying to have
misogynistically
a
towards me.
conversation.
You're
No,
having a
I'm trying
conversation.
to have a conversation.
Yes, where you
Trying to have a
repeatedly cover
conversation.
up and back up
Let's
for your
talk
lies.
about the
Yeah,
very
totally.
last thing.
He's so
Let's
condescending.
talk about
Yeah,
the
I know.
last thing.
hmm
Let's talk about the last tweet that you brought up.
Yeah, the Jangle
talk about
science
the
lad.
last
Yeah.
tweet that you-
So tell me, how would you check? Which bathroom should this person go into? Yeah, the picture of the woman. How do you check? Because you
Hold
never
on.
answered it.
That wasn't the last one. And
Oh, so you're
already
gonna
did
ignore
answer
this
in
one.
the
So you're
stream.
gonna
I said-
ignore.
I
Hey, please tell
already-
me which bathroom this person go into. Because
Okay.
multiple people tried
I
to bring up the
already-
fact. How did no, tell me
I already
right now.
answered it
Tell
in
me
the
right fucking
stream.
now, or else
I
I'm going to
already answered
mute.
it in
I'm
the
going to no. Listen. You have avoided. You have
I
like
said the
pivoted so
women's
much in this
bathroom.
conversation. I will mute you if you do not answer this question right now. You have to answer this question, or else I'm going to kick you from the call because I am fucking through with this. How would you check if this person is a man or a woman? How do you determine if this person is a man or a woman? Tell me right now.
they should use whatever bathrooms that person should use.
You're
whatever
not
bathrooms they
answering the
want.
question. All right, you have 3 seconds to answer. How do you determine whether
Wait,
that's
hold
a
on.
man or a woman? All right, you have 3 seconds. 3, 2.
You check them by their genders, right? Like if you want.
I kicked them. Banned them from the Discord. Mask off. Complete mask off. Complete fucking mask off. Oh my god. Hey fam. This is how we determine what gender someone is. We have genital checks at every bathroom. Holy fucking shit. Sorry, man. I just gotta check your genitals. Oh my god. Amazing. So fucking good. That was so fucking good. I'm sorry. I was really mean, but holy shit was that person dishonest. I'm sorry. That was really mean of me, but holy shit was that person dishonest. Crab time. Well, hey, listen, it's 6:33. And also people keep an eye if they're going to go into like I don't know, like Discord or whatever, ban them. Maybe explain the distinction between cis and trans would have saved a few minutes. Yeah, but I mean, like, they wanted to, like originally, it's actually really cool because they tried to pin me with an argument that actually Avi specifically prepared me for, which was cool. If you're watching now or in the future, Avi, thank you. That was super nice. Basically, the idea that, like, we should have different words that mean different things. There's a more sophisticated version of that argument that this person doesn't know anything about. At RGR, who will perform the gender checks and who will check the gender checkers' genders? Yeah. All these are very wonderful questions. Ah, that's so good shit. He literally said that passing trans women should be able to use women's bathrooms, and now it's gender checks. Yup. It seems to be, listen, I mean, like, that's the thing with these kind of people is that, like, they're fucking liars, right? Like, that's how they operate. Literally, he says, like, something completely different on Twitter, comes on here and just is like, listen, hey, calm down. That's why I don't take any shit from that, because literally, like, it's trying to, like, play the respectability politics game when, in fact, this person is, like, one of the most bad faith people you could imagine, right? Like, that's the thing about them, right? You cannot give those kind of people an inch. This is also, like, I don't know, if I want to talk broadly, this is, like, a big problem in politics, like, especially within the Democratic Party, is that, like, Democrats won't, like, call people out on their shit as much, but Republicans will usually, like, walk all over them. This is kind of, like, a same kind of thing online, right? Like, there are people who will make, like, super dishonest arguments or who will act super dishonestly. You need to just call them out on it. Yeah, what a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. Holy shit, dude. Holy fucking shit, dude. Literally lying. Still lying. That was good. Hey, let's check. How are we doing? Quick check. How are we doing on people who are watching? 355 on YouTube. Hey, shout out if you enjoyed that debate. I do those. Subscribble and join this Discord. See this chat that's happening right here? It's in my Discord, and you should join it because the dopamine going in my brain make me happy. Yes, and also because I was pained by that debate. Listen, I mean, like, I was too, but I don't know, I enjoy that. Oh shit, hey, welcome. Yeah, so do that. And also, if you're on Twitch, how many people are watching me on Twitch? I actually don't know. Let's see. Oh wait, no, never mind. Channel. Holy shit! 200 people on Twitch. Join here,
Holy shit,
motherfuckers.
200 people
and
on
hey,
Twitch.
You know what? Join
Let's not say
here,
that. Holy
motherfuckers.
shit,
Let's get into
200
some other
people
videos.
on
And hey,
Twitch.
unfortunately,
Join
oh yeah,
here,
holy
motherfuckers.
shit,
Get into
200
some
watching.
videos.
And
Also,
unfortunately,
join
oh yeah,
here,
holy
motherfuckers.
shit,
Get into
I
some
still got
videos.
that one.
Also,
I heard that.
join
Oh yeah,
here,
holy
motherfuckers.
shit,
Get into
I
some
still got that
videos.
one.
Also,
I heard that.
join
Oh yeah,
here,
holy
motherfuckers.
shit. I do not recognize the humanity. Oh yeah, I wore a personhood, but do not recognize the humanity. I wore a personhood, but do not recognize it to have fun with what I do. Wait, hold on. Do not recognize it to have fun. Oh hey, Loner Box is here too. Wait, hold on. RDR recognize it to have fun. Oh hey, Loner Box is here too. I'm sorry. Riley, your audio's dying. Sorry. I didn't realize that. I'm not wearing my headset anymore. There's an echo. Well, now there shouldn't be an echo. It should be done now. And now I should hear things through my We can't hear you? You should be able to hear me. Yes, you can. Don't give me that shit. I know you can hear me. Yeah. Let's see. Headphones, high definition audio device. All right, well, let me pull up next video because we're just listen, tonight's the trans predator night to be alive. So let's go ahead and pull up some other videos. By the way, chat, how are y'all doing? Pixie Plains, Riley had to clone herself to staff the genital checking stations across the U.S. Yes, that would appear to be the case. Let's see. Bop. Oh, and I need to... Let's see. God damn it. Lumi ruined Twitch chat based. Oh, hey, Lumi. How's it going? Thanks for the raid. I really appreciate it. Yeah, holy shit, 350 people watching. Listen, it's good shit. It's real good shit. All right, let's see. Content fodder. All right, let's see. What are we looking at? Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple options. We have, and it'd be cool if people and like give me just like shout it out in chat, and I'll see what most people say. We could go with Blair White, Fox News / Tucker Carlson, Ariel Scarcella, Rose of Dawn. Those are the options. So 4 people. Blair White, Fox News / Tucker Carlson, Rose of Dawn, Ariel Scarcella. All right, we got a trans predator argument for all of them because of fucking course we do. Rose or Fox, Tucker. Okay, I'm seeing a lot from Tucker. All right, hey, cool. This will be my first time covering Tucker Carlson. So this will actually be really, really nice because it's refreshing. I mean, I often have to like interact with or like cover people who make the same shitty arguments all the time. So it's cool. This is nice. This is good. This is good. Okay. So, hey, with that being said, what do we got here? This is from 2017. So, like, in case you're watching me right now, sometimes I cover current events, but usually what I do is, like, I have, like, a theme every week or for multiple weeks. This week, it's trans predator, so there's going to be some older videos that we're going to be covering. The reason why is because, like, with current events, it's cool because, like, you know, you can know everything that's happening. If you want to know more about current events, that's better for, like, Vosh and Zan and, like, similar related people. But, like, for me, I want to focus more on subjects and educating people. And this is a fun way to educate people, right? We have fun here. But, yeah, so the video, #Tucker, transgender bathroom debate, state or civil rights issue. We have our handy-dandy totality of academic consensus on the issue. So we've got that very friendly and handy and ready to go. So that's cool. And yeah, if I assume that we're going to have to reference it at some point. We'll go over it as we need to. But yeah, why don't we just let Tucker, our buddy boyo Tucker, take it from here.
Just 2 days ago, the Trump administration retracted an Obama-era guideline that claimed the 45-year-old Title IX law required all public schools to let transgender students use the bathroom and the locker room of their choice. The White House says bathroom issues are properly a concern for state and local governments, a position that is getting the administration absolutely savaged on the left. Jillian Weiss is...
Yeah, so that was pretty shitty. Taking away the rights for trans people in the for trans people to be able to use the bathroom that is most correlated with them. Actually, let's just go over the immediate concerns with that right now, right? Because, like, not only are concerns about trans predators in bathrooms, like, non-substantiated whatsoever, but also there's a lot of evidence showing that, like, taking away the ability for trans people to be able to use the bathroom that is most consistent with their gender has also negative effects on their health. Whereas studies and accounts demonstrate, 1, transgender students face higher risks of sexual assault and other harms in schools as a result of restricted bathroom or locker room access. 2, many trans people avoid going out in public due to a lack of safe restroom facilities, since they have been verbally harassed and physically assaulted in restrooms and have consequently experienced physical health problems, including dehydration, urinary tract infection, kidney infections, and other kidney-related problems. And 3, cis women have sexually assaulted trans women in women's restrooms as opposed to the alternative, right? Like, trans people face a ton of health problems as a consequence of being endangered by the fact that they are restricted from being able to go into bathrooms with a gender that they do not identify with, right? Or rather that they face a lot of health problems as a consequence of not being able to go into the bathroom of the gender that they identify with, right? And so it's really important that we recognize that, like, when Trump did this, it has massive negative effects, and it had massive negative effects on the well-being of trans people, which is a pretty bad move, but I assume that we're going to hear how actually it was the right thing to do. So let's let them take it away.
Executive Director of the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund. After the guidelines retraction, Weiss denounced the administration's states' rights position as nonsense. Jillian Weiss joins us now.
True. I mean, literally, it's like the same kind of like states' rights arguments that like were used for slavery, right? Like, it's the same kind of argument. Oh, we should take away federal rights for federal non-discrimination laws for a minority because we should let states deal with that issue. Like, that's the exact same kind of logic that was used by conservatives back in like the 50s up until like much more recently, to try and argue that we should have like no non-discrimination laws for black people or people of various races, right? Because it should be a states' rights issue, and of course states would fucking do nothing about it, right? Or at least conservative states wouldn't. Like, that's the logic that they employ to get that kind of legal way through to be able to be established.
Jillian, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So I believe, for whatever it's worth, in politeness and decency and not making people uncomfortable, especially.
I believe in politeness and decency when I am telling someone that they are a predator and that they shouldn't be allowed in the women's spaces. I believe that we should be polite to everyone that we talk to, even if we fundamentally believe that they are not who they say they are. Literally, this is the exact same fucking shit as the previous person, as fucking the person I just had on. Your dad. Yeah, exactly. It's your dad. It's your dad. God damn it. That's just going to be a running trope, isn't it? Yeah, that's how bigots try to like normalize bigotry, is just being like, listen, I'm not going to like overtly act bigoted. I'm just going to do all the things that a bigot would do and disclaim it that actually I'm not a bigot, even if I'm totally wrong.
Especially children. I have 4. But I also believe in honesty, and so I just want to get to what exactly this means. So I'm a 47.
Tucker Carlson believing in honesty? Are you goddamn serious? Yeah, there it is. There's the meme. With all due respect, go fuck yourself. Yeah, for real. But yeah, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, what can I say but yikes? Yeah, for real. Like, Tucker Carlson believing in honesty. Okay, buddy.
47-year-old man. I think that's pretty obvious. If I were to decide tomorrow that I was a 47-year-old woman, should I be allowed to go shower in a women's locker room?
Okay, so first off, that's not what it means to be a gender. I actually didn't expect that this is where we were going, but sure, let's go over it really quickly. So let's just talk about what it means to be a gender, right? So basically the argument that they're making by implication is that like all that is sufficient for someone to be able to be a gender is to identify with that gender category. Therefore, they're going to be like, therefore, if we allow people who just identify with a gender to be able to take on that label, then there are going to be like tons of trans predators who are going to go and invade women's spaces, or predators who take advantage of those laws to be able to go do that. So there's kind of 2 things in there, and let's break that down. So first, whereas according to the World Health Organization, the American Psychological Association, the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, the United Kingdom's National Health Service, and researchers, gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, expressions, and identities of people that varies from society to society and can change over time, how society interacts with and categorizes individuals, right? Normally, when someone self-identifies as something, that is a form of signaling to other people that they are a gender, right? That's social construction. This is so, like, we're all talking about social construction, right? And then on the flip side of that, whereas according to the Endocrine Society and researchers, there's considerable scientific evidence that has emerged demonstrating a durable biological element underlying gender identity, including 1, attempts to change gender identity in intersex patients to match external genitalia or chromosomes are typically unsuccessful. 2, identical twins are more likely to both experience transgender identity as compared to non-identical twins. 3, among individuals with XX chromosomes, rates of male gender identity are higher for those exposed to higher rates of androgens in utero relative to those without such exposure, and vice versa for XY chromosome individuals with complete androgen insensitivity. And 4, there are associations of certain brain scanner staining patterns with gender identity rather than external genitalia or chromosomes, right? Therefore, the academic literature defines gender, 1, objectively, meaning it's comprised of A, the totality of one's social expressions, B, the average reasonable person's interpretations of those expressions, and C, the average reasonable person's categorization of one based on those interpretations. If someone identifies as a woman and otherwise, like on the totality of their expression, treats themselves as a woman, and then society interprets that expression to see them as a woman and to categorize them as a woman, then congratulations, that's what it means to be a woman. It's not just identifying as a woman, but that's a part of the equation. And then subjectively, meaning it's comprised of the totality of one's involuntary thought processes which lead one to make those expressions. So to be clear, even if we're going to concede, and we're not going to concede this, but even if it were to be true that there are going to be some people who are not trans but take advantage of self-identification laws to be able to go into women's spaces, those people are not trans because they don't have these involuntary thought processes that lead them to make those expressions, right? Everyone who's trans, it's not a choice, it's some part of who you are, right? And so that's going to be the primary distinction between someone who is otherwise presenting themselves as something and treated by society to be one thing and someone who is authentically trans, right? I don't want people to take that out of term. This is a very this is, I'm not trying to make a true scum debate, right? But everyone who is trans, based on the literature and from what I know, is going to agree that it's not a choice to be trans. Being trans is one of the, it's not exactly the greatest thing in society right now, right? So it doesn't make sense for people to self-identify with the label of trans to try and take advantage of self-identification laws, right? And then also to the argument about trans predators invading women's spaces like restrooms, there's also academic consensus on that point. Whereas over 200 sexual assault and domestic violence organizations, the American Medical Association organization, studies, experts, and police departments across the nation have confirmed that 1, bathroom bills citing fears of increased safety and privacy violations as a result of non-discrimination laws are not empirically grounded, right? All the bathroom bills that are passed that are trying to talk about fears of trans predators invading women's spaces or other people taking advantage of self-identification laws, none of those bills have actually been substantiated by any kind of evidence whatsoever. Secondly, there are no studies finding that sexual predators are likely to take advantage of transgender-friendly bathroom laws, and a review of the evidence collected by organizations such as the Family Research Council, American Family Association, the Liberty Council, and Breitbart. These are all super far-right turf-leaning or turfy organizations, by the way, just so that for people who aren't aware, arguing otherwise, found only 1 case ever where the perpetrator was trans and 19 cases where they claimed to be trans or disguised as an opposite gender to commit a crime. Also, anti-trans groups pushing bathroom bills have admitted that bathroom predator myths they pushed were intentionally and completely fabricated as a way to avoid an uncomfortable battle over LGBT ideology and still fire up people's emotions. 4, a survey of 17 school districts around the country with protections for trans people covering 600,000 plus students, very relevant here, make sure to keep an eye on this, found no problems with harassments in bathrooms or locker rooms after implementing their policies, right? For as much as people want to say that, there's going to be so many problems with predators in schools if we implement these policies, people have already, looked at if that would happen in schools where they have those policies, and they found no instances whatsoever. And 5, an investigation of 18 states with more than 200 municipalities with laws protecting transgender people from discrimination have reported no problems. So, let's be clear. When he says that, if I could identify as a woman tomorrow and just be able to walk into the bathroom, well, is that going to be an issue or whatever? Understand first, that's not what it means to be trans. And understand secondly, that, people do not do this. Predators taking advantage of self-identification laws are just not an issue. There's such a minority of a minority of a minority that at that point, to be able to impose any laws preventing trans people from going in there is just going to cause them harm. And in any case, sexual assault is already illegal. Rape is already illegal. If you're going to impose a law saying that trans people aren't going to go in, the imposition of a law is not going to prevent a rapist from breaking another law if they were already going to break a law. Like, that's ridiculous logic. I just want to point that out because, like, that's all of the implications of what he was just talking about. With that being said, let's go on.
The idea that there's no objective factors to be considered in who is transgender and how we determine bathroom use is really not the way that this works.
We just went over objective factors. We just went over them. This is a straw man.
The fact is that people make this decision after a lot of serious consideration. They see medical doctors, there is psychologists involved.
This is true. I mean, yeah, often when trans people decide to, you know, like figure out that they are trans, it comes after a long period of conscious thought and discussion and figuring out, is this me? Are these thoughts like such that I cannot otherwise conceive of myself as a different gender than what I am, right? Like, yeah, it comes after a long, usually period of like self-reflection, seeing medical professionals, et cetera. So yeah, like this is true.
There's a lot to think about. It's not an easy process. As someone who's gone through that, I can tell you, you just don't decide tomorrow.
Oh, this is a trans person. Oh God, is this like, I really hope that this isn't about to be like Tucker Carlson interviews conservative trans woman on trans bathroom bills. Is she about to be like the older Blair White saying like, yeah, we should definitely not let trans people into bathrooms? Like, is this literally where this is about to go? That's my concern right now. But hey, I can't predict the future. Let's see what happens.
So that's really not the way it works.
But what if I did decide tomorrow?
What if he did? Again, like this is the same thing. Like this is kind of like the same logic as like the Ben Shapiro. Well, what if people start identifying as a different age? The thing is, this just doesn't happen. Like they're talking about this like this is such a prevalent or like such a probabilistic or such a possible problem. But like it doesn't happen. There are studies showing that it doesn't happen. All of these fears are completely baseless. The best that people can cite is like one-off random anecdotal pieces of evidence that say more about the individual rather than like the laws themselves, right? Like that's all that people can cite to. And thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it.
What should I be?
Any good I've done as an ally has come about through sharing ideas through that trans people themselves have already crafted. Listen to them, not me. Read trans philosophers and writers and let them lead your way. That's cool.
And it was totally sincere. Or by the way, how would you know whether it was sincere or not, or anyone know? Only I can make that decision. And what if I did? Would I be allowed to go and shower in a women's locker room?
I mean, like Ben or Tucker. God, they're all the same to me, right? But yeah, listen, like, given you as a person, it doesn't seem like you have any genuine beliefs that you are a gender different from what you were assigned at birth. You see, like, I'm looking at this, and you seem like pretty guy. Now, I'm not saying that there's like one determined way that a trans person or a trans woman should look, right? But like here, he's demonstrating that like this isn't really like the situation he's describing isn't like a realistic one, right? Like, normally when trans women go in the shower, and mind you, like, most of the time, also, like, let's be perfectly realistic, like, let's be perfectly clear about this. Most trans women are fucking terrified of going into women's bathrooms because of people like fucking TERFs who demonize any trans women who go into there, and because of the fact that, like, I am personally terrified of going in there and being, like, A, judged for my body, B, harassed by other women, and C, like, being harassed specifically by TERFs for going into those spaces, right? Like, what he's describing right now, again, is just not an issue.
And if not, why not?
Well, I think the answer is no. And for example, we have the Gavin Grimm case, which, as you know, is coming up to the Supreme Court very soon.
I believe Gavin Grimm, well, he was like a younger trans guy in high school. He seemed like a good kid. I know he was represented by the ACLU. I know a little bit about him.
The ACLU just put out its brief.
Hey, there you go.
In that case, and you know, they went through what he had to address. He changed his name, he had medical doctors, he had letters from psychologists and so on. It wasn't the kind of thing where he just came in and said, oh, now I'm going to be using the
TERFs are more likely to cause issues in women's bathroom than trans women. True. I mean, like we already saw earlier, like to recall back to like the doc, there are actually instances here. Let me see if I can pull them up really quick. This could be like a nice little detour. Here's one example. Trans woman karate chopped by abusive drunk cis woman in horrific transphobic attack in public bathroom. Laura Ray, 56, comedian writer, who co-founded Winnipeg Comedy Festival. She was at Portage Place Shopping Center on June 15th to pick up some medication when she went inside the ladies' bathroom to wash her hand and put on lipstick. When she tried to leave, 2 women blocked the entrance and began screaming at her. They were both highly intoxicated. One of them started screaming and abusing and misgendering me. Ray attempted to show one of the women her ID, but she said she ignored it and karate chopped her wrist. I wasn't sure the ID was going to work in this case, but I tried to give the woman my license. She basically karate chopped my hand and caused this injury. As a result of the attack, Ray's wrist is now sprained and in supportive sleep while she takes time to heal. Yeah, like the idea that like trans women are definitely always going to are definitely like the ones to be worried about in bathrooms. Like there are plenty of instances where we see like the opposite to be true. Also, there's a lot of times where trans women. Hey, Hannah Reloaded. Thank you. Holy shit, we're getting rated by fucking everyone tonight. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? If you like what's happening right now, then you can do the follow. And also, I have a Discord where my chat is, and you should totally join it and not just ignore what I said because a lot of people ignore those things. But thank you. I appreciate it. You're super poggers champion and all of that. Enough of that. Back to the video. Let's move on.
The boys' room. So
Okay, but let's go through just, I mean, because there's a lot at stake here, and you know this because you do it for a living. There's a lot of money at stake, and there's a lot bigger issues at stake. The definition of gender itself, which is at the center of.
I mean, we know what the academic consensus is on what the definition of gender is. Like, we went over it earlier. This is not like a contested issue. But sure, Tucker, it's totally a contested issue. Let's see what happens.
Any society. So what are the absolute standards that are required for a person to change his or her sex?
there is an organization.
This is, God, I can't tell if this is like a consequence of this from being from like 2017 or if it's a consequence of like just conservative thought brain or like framing of this, right? So most trans people, just to be clear, like people don't go and get like sex changes, right? Usually it's referred to like as gender confirmation surgery because like you can be a woman or a man or whatever without having to get surgery. Like that's not what it means to be a gender. A gender is socially constructed. And so like based on how society is going to treat you has to do more with like the totality of your social expressions, how people interpret and categorize your social expressions as a result, right? That doesn't require surgery. I mean, like, I guess you can call it a sex change if you want to be like funny about it. But it's not like, but that's not exactly what happens when someone goes and gets like starts on transition, right?
Organization called the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, which has a series of standards of care. We're on number 7 now, or 8 is coming up. And so this is something that doctors and medical people, psychologists have worked with for years, and there is a whole protocol.
I mean, like, this is true, yeah. Like, when people go and, like, get surgery. So, I mean, like, if we are, like, again, like, they framed it as sex change. But, like, I mean, yeah, when people go and get, like, gender-affirming care surgery, like, yeah, there are plenty of standards of health to make sure that, like, doctors are not prescribing, like, whether it's surgery or medication or whatever. Like, there are protocols to make sure that doctors are only prescribing, these things to people who are actually trans, right? Hey, Lynn, how's it going? So, I mean, like, yeah, this is true. Yeah, sure, granted.
I mean, I can't give you the entire thing right now, but I think it's important to understand that there is something called transgender, and we have been here forever. We've been going to the bathroom forever.
Oh, but I'm not contesting any of any of that. And just to be totally clear, I'm not attacking anyone.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. A lot of, like, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. A lot of people will posit, like, this is the exact same thing that the person who I just fucking had on is. It's like, oh yeah, no, I totally am not going to, like, attack you personally. I don't have anything personally against trans people. I just think that we should check their genitals at the bathroom door, right? Like, yeah, absolutely fucking not. So, like, I don't, like, again, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know intrinsically what's in Tucker Carlson's mind. I'm not a mind reader. I just take that with a heavy grain of salt, personally.
But I think it's fair because so much is at stake to get much more precise than you are getting. So what exactly are the standards? And are they legal standards or are they standards that you agree with? I mean, what exactly?
I mean, like, the law is not necessarily as relevant here. Like, the standards are determined by, like, the medical consensus, you know? Like, that's what determines what the standards are, not lawmakers. So, yeah.
Are the actual standards? Because again, a lot of money is at stake here.
So much as to say, yeah, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, what money is at stake here? Like, it's just like a vague gesturing, like, oh yeah, this matters so much because there's money at stake here, right? But like, what the fuck is he talking about? I'm actually like genuinely curious, because I mean, like, otherwise there's really nothing much at stake, because as it turns out, when you let trans people into their bathrooms, like the bathrooms that's consistent with their gender, nothing fucking happens. Like, I don't know, I'll talk from my personal experience. Like, I just go in, I take a piss, and I leave. Like, that's all that happens. And that's overwhelmingly what happens for like any other trans woman or trans person in general, right? Like, people just want to take a piss. So there's really not that many stakes. And the higher stakes are almost certainly with taking away those restrictions, because we know from looking at studies earlier that there are higher health risks for restricting bathroom uses for people who are trans. So the higher stakes seem to be in the opposing argument, not in allowing trans people to go into bathrooms, especially when we're talking about like money. Like, that's so, I've been getting quite a few women's bathrooms and never gotten oh my God.
Yes. Well, the medical standards require seeing a therapist for a certain period of time before cross-sex hormones will be prescribed.
Also, I didn't expect this. Like, we're getting so far away from a conversation about should trans people be in bathrooms to just like, what is trans? Like, that's what this is turning into, is like, what are the standards? What are the medical standards for allowing trans people to be in to get medical assistance? Like, this isn't really related to whether or not you let trans people into bathrooms, you know? Like, this isn't really relevant.
Prescribed a certain amount of time living as the opposite sex before certain kinds of medical treatment and surgery would be permitted. The other thing to keep in mind is that the courts have been parsing this for the last 15, 20 years.
I'm going to speed this up a little bit.
If somebody is being stereotyped because of their sex, because they're not perceived to fit in with appropriate masculinity or femininity, because of whatever people perceive as their birth sex, that is something that's prohibited by the anti-discrimination statute.
Right, so that's the
Wait, hold on, I need to hear that again.
People perceive as their birth sex, that is something that's prohibited by the anti-discrimination. Typed because of their sex, because they're not perceived to fit in with appropriate masculinity or femininity, be permitted of time living as the opposite sex before certain kinds of medical treatment and surgery will be permitted. The other thing to keep in mind is that the courts have been parsing this for the last 15, 20 years. And so if somebody is being stereotyped because of their sex, because they're not perceived to fit in with appropriate masculinity or femininity, because of whatever people perceive as their birth sex, that is something that's prohibited by the anti-discrimination statute.
Right, so that's...
Yeah, and I mean, like, also, this is from 2017. Remember that Bostock v. Clayton County came out recently, which, like, elaborated on this and established that, like, discrimination on the basis of sex as it pertains to, I believe it was Title VII. It was either Title VII or Title IX. I'm tired. Don't be too harsh on me. The employment law, that any discrimination on the basis of sex intrinsically accounts for trans people, since and the logic goes, right, that someone cannot just discriminate against trans people without taking sex into account, right? Especially since the definition of being trans is to identify as something contrary to what you were assigned at birth, right? So, like, it's inherently impossible, the legal argument goes, that someone could discriminate against someone who's trans and not take into account with at least their assigned at birth sex, right? God, what is this? Thank you for the 20 bits. Breaking news. My wide chunk of salt discovered floating in space has been identified Carl's 1 by NASA and will be passing extremely close to Earth on 2021. Many are filled with doubt that this cosmological mountain of sodium chloride exists, despite the insistence of astronomers and physicists. Cool? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so, I don't know. This sounds consistent. Yeah, that's all I got.
The anti-discrimination statute, but you still haven't explained, and I've asked you a bunch, what the legal standards are, because I don't think that there are any, and here's why that's a concern. So the federal government spends...
Well, most of the standards are usually, like, as of recently, they're usually, like, administrative, right? So they're established by, like, the executive branch. We don't have too many laws, because as it turns out, whenever people try to pass bathroom laws, usually, like, every single attempt has been discriminatory in nature. I think in some states, like I think that some states specifically have one saying that trans people should be affirmatively allowed into bathrooms consistent with the gender they identify as. I think that exists in Maryland, but don't hold that to me. But like usually most of the time these laws are established administratively through the executive branch, right? Otherwise, like in the absence of laws, usually it's kind of accepted that like, yeah, if you're trans then you can go into the bathrooms, right? Because it's kind of like the same thing as like criminalization or decriminal versus it's like the similarity between like decriminalizing something and legalizing something, right? If you decriminalize something, then the law just doesn't care about it. If you legalize something, then it's allowed under certain circumstances, right? And obviously, if you criminalize something, it's not allowed at all, right? Like it's that kind of an analogy, or that's that kind of a situation with this.
Over $11 billion every year on sex-specific programs, and I'm sure you know what they are. The Small Business Administration, among many others, gives a ton of money to people because they are women. And so how are we supposed to navigate that if there, and let's be honest with each other, there are no standards actually.
I believe that the dissent, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the dissent in Bostock v. Clayton County actually went to this. I believe it was Alito on the dissent who basically talked about the fact, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that the dissent basically went to the fact that like, oh, if we start saying that this is the way that we define sex, or if this is the way that we define, you know, discrimination on the basis of sex, well, that would affect like all these other laws, and all these other laws would logically apply to like trans people. And it's like, yeah, it seems like it would be better premise. I mean, like, again, like looking to the law as a source of like affirmative authority on like what is scientific and academic consensus isn't an argument. Like laws are not always based on what is academically or like scientifically true, you know? So here it's probably better to start moving more towards language. If we want to maintain laws that do benefit people based on like gender, then we should probably use more gendered language, right? Like that seems like a logical, like that seems like a good way to move as a society. If that's what our legislature wants to do, is to have laws which like specifically benefit certain genders, right? Like that would seem like the most prudent thing to do.
Other than I say that I'm of a different sex, how are we supposed to navigate this, and what's going to prevent charlatans from jumping in and taking all that cash?
Well, let me give you an example. In the field of athletics, there are standards that have been developed for when someone is permitted to move into a particular single-sex activity.
We're moving into sports now, but actually, like, I'm not hating her right now. I'm not loving her, but I'm not hating her right now. I don't know. Like sometimes with like Blair, you can tell like a minute in, like, oh, this person is just dishonest and grifting. I'm not completely getting that impression. Like she hasn't been like completely wrong. So I think that she's about to go into the argument that like there are some organizations that have developed standards to allow trans people to compete after like a certain number of years transitioning, which I think is basically my position right now. So I probably won't have too much to disagree with her unless she goes like a completely other direction.
It involves how long they've been on hormones, how long their transition has been, you know, whether or not they have the strength equivalent to, you know, that, like in women's sports, for example. So there are standards that have been developed. Now, I don't know all of the details of that exactly, but you're asking, for example, how do we...
There is no absolute standard that's been developed, as you know. I mean, look, this is your job. You know that there actually, that's not true. There isn't. The WNBA doesn't have the same standard as the Olympics, as Notre Dame women's field hockey. I mean, there is no absolute standard.
Well, if that's...
Well, yeah, that's because... I mean, like, God, I wasn't expecting to get into a fucking trans sports argument. The basic line, and you're just going to have to take my word. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. We can... Hold on. Let's look at the academic consensus. Unfortunately, I don't have, like, a separate... I don't have, like, a fancy research doc for this yet. It's to come in future weeks, but I do have stuff on this already. So let's talk about it. I was not... Listen, this is supposed to be trans predators, not trans sports, what it means to be trans and now sports. Or trans, this wasn't supposed to be like what it means to be trans and transports, right? All right, let's see. Okay. Should trans women be allowed to compete in women's sports and vice versa for trans men? All right, so let's talk about like this is not very nicely organized, but a lot of studies or like the academic consensus on this issue, right? On whether or not trans people should be allowed to compete in women's sports, right? So let's talk about it. According to a systematic literature review relating to sports participation and competitive sports policies concerning trans people published in October 2016 in Sports Medicine, researchers found that there is no direct or consistent research suggesting transgender female individuals or male individuals have an athletic advantage at any stage of their transition. For example, cross-sex hormones, gender-confirming surgery, and therefore competitive sports policies that place restrictions on transgender people need to be considered and potentially revised. They also found that transgender people had a mostly negative experience in competitive sports because of the restrictions on the sports policy based on them, and that the majority of transgender competitive sports policies that were reviewed were not evidence-based, right? So let's be clear that, like, yeah, there's not a consistent policy right now, but the policies that exist right now are not evidence-based, right? They're more just kind of like guesstimated, right? Some of them are decent, but most people have overwhelmingly negative experiences, and yeah, like there's no evidence at any point right now that this study found no evidence affirmatively that trans people have like an affirmative advantage any stage of their transition. That's what this study found. Now, this was a couple years ago. There have been other studies that have come out since then with more nuanced approaches, but let's talk about them. But according to a study looking at the effects of testosterone and athletic performance published in Endocrine Reviews in October 2018, the available, albeit incomplete, evidence makes it highly likely that the sex difference in circulating testosterone of adults explains most, if not the sex differences in sporting performance, right? This is the reason why, and this is the reason why, like, TERFs are so fucking hypocritical to me, right? Because, like, a lot of TERFs will talk about, oh, we can't give young kids like hormone blockers because we're destroying their bodies, even though hormone blockers are overwhelmingly safe, right? But like these same people would be the people to say, oh, we shouldn't let trans women be able to compete against women in women's sports, even though if we were to give those trans women hormone blockers, then there would be statistically no athletic advantage whatsoever, because like most of those athletic advantages come from testosterone. And so if we're able to cut that off before any bad puberty stuff happens, then it's basically going to be apples to apples. Wonderful. TERFs are hypocrites. Who could have figured? This makes sense since, according to a study published in Sports Medicine in 2017, looking at 2,127 observations of competition best performances and mass spectrometry, measured serum androgen concentrations obtained during the 2011 and 2013 International Associations of Athletic Foundations World Championships, and testing the influence of serum androgen levels on performance for men and women. Researchers found that female athletes with high FT levels had a significant competitive advantage over those with low FT in 400-meter hurdles, 800-meter hammer throw, and pole vault, right? Essentially, like, yeah, most of them ended up being, like, super consistent. Additionally, in a study published in the European Journal of Endocrinology in 2015, assessing the evolution of body composition and bone metabolism in trans men during the first year of HRT treatment, researchers found that short-term testosterone treatment in trans men increased muscle mass and bone turnover. Amazingly, the opposite happened with trans men. They got stronger, big, swole. I don't know. They did guy things. I can't talk about this, but congratulations. Additionally, in a case study analyzing the race times for 8 transgender female runners who have competed in distance races as both male and female using a mathematical model called age grading, published in Journal of Sports Cultures and Identities in 2015, as a group, the 8 study participants had remarkably similar age grade scores in both male and female gender, making it possible to state that the transgender women run distances at approximately the same level for their respective gender, both before and after transition, right? Another study showing that overwhelmingly trans women perform about the same as cis women in sports. Hooray. Additionally, in the study published in the National Collegiate Athletic Association, researchers found that any athletic advantage a transgender woman or woman arguably may have as a result of her prior testosterone levels dissipate after about 1 year on estrogen therapy. So there you go. Like, that's a good example. Like, to the extent that, like, a lot of policies that currently exist are not evidence-based, ones that say, like, yeah, if you, like, have, like, a 2-year cutoff for how long you have to go on HRT, then that seems to at least be decent, right? Lastly, in a publication in the Journal of Medical Ethics in 2018, the authors concluded that while inclusion is an important principle in sport, including elite sport, inclusion does not outweigh the importance of fairness versus women athletes. The performance advantage likely held by trans women is not a tolerable unfairness. So this is like, it's sounding really bad right now. Hold on to it with me. This is not an attempt to exclude trans women from elite sport. Instead, we must conclude that it is important to both extend and celebrate diversity while also maintaining fairness for cis women in sport. To be simultaneously inclusive and fair in elite level for the male-female binary must be discarded in favor of a more nuanced approach. We must conclude that the gender binary in sport has perhaps had its day. So here's the thing about it, fam. I'm going to go full screen for a second. Sports are inherently unfair. Like, there are people in sports who inherently have, like, biological advantages over people, right? Like, I used to play football, and I had genes that allowed me to perform inherently better than other people, regardless of how much we trained, right? Those exist regardless of whether or not you draw those lines arbitrarily across, like, men and women, you know? It's just that whenever, and I mean, like over the course of history, we always see people try to bring up like, oh, arguments of unfairness. Whenever we try to talk about like inclusion, these same arguments came up during like school integration when we were talking about like, oh, well, black people certainly have a biological advantage over white people. Again, like a lot of race realism or like racist kind of talking points, right? But it comes from the same place of like, there is an inherent disadvantage. There's like inherent biological disadvantages in sports already, but a lot of people don't think about them except when minorities are involved, right? So some of the best options that we have right now are to the extent, and I can't remember if the studies went into this. Like I also talked to Jangles, like another person who specifically studied this and actually did research on this. And what he told me was that essentially, if there is going to be any major advantage between like trans women who have been on HRT for a couple of years and cis women, it's going to come from the fact that the trans women, before they started transition, did like intense training with like a testosterone-filled body or whatever you want to call it, right? But assuming that does not exist, then like there's not going to be a meaningful difference at all. And like even for those people, it's probably better that we allow them, like if we're, so basically like there are two roads, right? Either we keep trans people, or either we keep like binary like men's, women's sports, and we have a policy to be able to allow trans women to be able to compete in women's sports, because like there are evidence that like even in those people who have differences are going to be minuscule, and we already have like people with biological advantages in women's sports. Or we figure out new categories. I don't know what those categories are going to be. Maybe we do it based on like how much testosterone is in someone's body, since that seems to be, according to that one study, like one of the primary determining factors, right? But it's one of those two categories. We either find new categories or we make do with what we got because it's already imperfect. Okay? Everyone good? Cool. Break. Good job, team. So back to Tucker.
That's what you're saying. Is there an absolute standard? You're correct.
Yeah.
There is not an
I know.
absolute standard. We are working this out as a society. It doesn't mean put transgender people back in the closet or tell transgender youth just, fend for yourself.
But nobody's suggesting that, at least on this show. What I'm suggesting is an adult look at this issue, and yet whenever you bring it up, like, what does this really mean? And can you actually...
We just told them what it means. Yeah. I mean, trans women can compete in the sport with the gender that they identify with. And if your primary concern is fairness, which is already not present in sports inherently, but if that's what your concern is, then they can go on HRT for a couple of years, and most of those, if not all the differences, will be mitigated. Like, also, just to drive this home, like, this is not someone who's going to have an inherent, like, biological advantage over other women, right? I always use, like, Miss London as my example. And I could also use Blair, but, like, I don't know. London and I are friends, so I prefer using her. Like, this is not someone who's going to have, like, an inherent biological advantage over men, right? Like, that's not, or over women, right? Like, that's not an issue.
change your sex biologically, you're denounced.
All right, now we're using completely wrong language. It's not changing your sex. It's transitioning to have a body that is conforms to your gender.
It's like a hater.
If you pursue transition, like medical transition.
And I'm just speaking for myself when I say that has nothing to do with it. I think it's fair to ask these questions. And so when are we going to find out?
I just have questions. Like, again, this is the reason why I don't trust him worth shit, because it's the same kind of rhetoric that, like, every kind of bigot use. Oh, I'm not actually bigoted. I just have questions. Like, I'm not trying to come across as unreasonable here. It's just that, like, whenever someone, like, immediately says, oh, I just have questions, and starts trying to argue or, like, delegitimize the idea that, like, minorities should be able to have rights, it's really concerning, I would think.
Exactly what it means to be a woman or a man.
Well, let me just suggest this. I have a list here of 25 studies that have been done over the last 15 years by scientists, peer-reviewed journals, discussing exactly what it means to be transgender when someone is transitioning, the difference in the basal ganglia of the stria terminalis, the neuron density in the brain, and so on. I'm sorry for being very technical. The point is there are biological differences.
You're big. I mean, let me ask you this.
I think I love her now. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Consider trolling alert. Yeah, for real. I think I love her now, actually. I don't know. Maybe I'm coming around on her. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but holy shit. I mean, like, she clearly did her research. Yeah, snaps. Holy shit. Yeah, like, I'm not going to take any issue with that shit. I have questions. Yeah, me too. Why do you fucking care so much? Yeah, that's the thing, is that, like, Well, I mean, like, the reason that they care is because, like, they're concerned about, like, trans predators invading women's spaces, right? Like, that's the reason why they concern, and that's where a lot of this comes from. Concerns which are fundamentally, like, not grounded in evidence.
Can you ascertain a person's sex with a blood test throughout life, from birth until death, and will that result remain?
Again, all right, hold on. How many times do we got to bring this out, old man? All right, so he's talking about like XY chromosomes or whatever. So let's talk about like the nature of biological sex, right? Actually, it's really interesting because like this relates to this argument, right? Whereas even conceding that gender and sex are different, some people will still actively refer to trans women as biologically male and trans men as biologically female, and non-binary people as a biological sex, right? That seems to be the argument that he may be implying here. Whereas taking a scientific realist approach, a scientific model has no inherent value, but rather is as valuable as it can produce objectively reasonable, accurate, and consistent outcomes. Whereas binary variables refer to variables that are dichotomous, where each data point can only contain one of two possible values, meaning using chromosomes, like what he just referenced, genitalia, or even gamete production, each entail non-binary models for sex because we have observed non-binary examples for each. Whereas it is also the growing consensus that sex characteristics tend to be bimodal, meaning that there are clusters of characteristics that tend to be associated with people that we call female or male, and molecular biology has established that sex is on a continuum with enormous potential for variance. Again, as I've explained before, when we think of sex, most people think of it as like there's one category, and that's male, and there's another category, and that's female. When in actuality, what we have is more like a cluster of people that we can label as like female or women. We have a cluster of people that we can label as like male or man, but a lot of people in between. And if you map it out on a spectrum, then you're going to see like a lot of people on one side and a lot of people on the other, but not necessarily and not even conclusively like two discrete categories, you know? Oh. And then where there's also a growing consensus, this is also like what I'm about to say doesn't disagree with the idea of like sex being on a spectrum, right? Whereas there's also a growing consensus that there is no single biological measure that unassailably places each and every human into one of two categories, male or female. So evaluating sex according to layers of biological sex is more accurate. For example, using chromosomal sex, fetal gonadal sex, fetal hormonal sex, internal reproductive sex, external genital sex, brain sex, pubertal hormonal sex, and pubertal morphological sex. Therefore, a scientific model which defines a trans woman as a biological male, a trans man is a biological female, and non-binary people with a single biological sex category not only produces objectively unreasonable outcomes, like if you just look at a lot of trans people, again, like Miss London or me, but I'm also kind of putting me on the chopping block, so I'm not sure how quickly I want to do that. I don't know. Please be kind to me. But like a lot of trans people, you just kind of look at and like if you want to say that like Miss London is a biological male, like it's really hard to make that sell, right? Like Occam's razor just kind of comes down to be like, okay, like that's a reductio ad absurdum, right? If we want to use super technical language, right? But it's also contradictory to prevailing academic theories of biological sex because it seems to be more accurate because we observe people who fall outside of these phenomena. That's better to evaluate people based on individual qualities rather than trying to place them into one of two discrete buckets. Okay? Okay? Cool. And so, like, when we're talking about people, so the question is, oh, well, how do we describe people, Riley? You describe them, like, according to their qualities, and you just refer to them as, like, their gender or their identity. Yeah, like, it's really not hard. Like, people are like, oh, this is so complicated, but, like, it's really not. You have a trans woman, that's a woman, refer to her as a woman. She might have a penis. Congratulations, you have a woman who has a penis. Or if you have a trans guy, then it's a guy who has a uterus. Congratulations. Like it's not hard.
Inconsistent.
No, not with the blood test.
Not with the blood test. Okay, I don't know if that's correct actually. But the point is, look, do you agree that, and this is, we'll just leave it here, but do you agree that until there is a commonly recognized, legally recognized standard for sex, what constitutes?
That's actually really bad, right? Because again, lawmakers do not make laws based off of scientific evidence. Like there's no reason that they have to, you know? And in fact, a lot of lawmakers, like the bathroom bills that have been passed completely in the face without any scientific authority whatsoever. It's like to say that like, oh, so should we wait for like a legal standard to be developed? It's like, no, because legal standards do not have any internal, like any inherent validity to them. If they rely on science, then the science would be where any validity that it does have is derived from. Legal equals scientific. Yeah, I know, right?
A man and a woman. that we ought to slow down a little bit, stop building up all these anti-discrimination statutes before we can agree on who is being discriminated against, who meets the standard.
All right, yeah, this is literally just concern trolling. Trans people are being discriminated against. It's pretty easy. To say that, like, oh, well, we don't even know who's being discriminated against. No, it's trans people, right? Like, even if you don't understand, like, what the definition is of what it means to be trans, if someone, like, tells you that they're trans, they're probably trans, right? Like, most of the time, like, and I understand that some people are going to come at me and be like, well, Riley, that's not the standard. It's like, it's a useful shorthand, right? If someone tells you that they're trans, we live in a society where there's not, like, a compelling reason to do so, right? And, like, someone might be like, oh, well, Riley, the compelling reason might be to go and rape people in bathrooms, right? And it's like, there's literally no evidence to be able to cite that, and all the evidence that we have over the course of history, like literally, like even looking at the super conservative sites or like super turfy sites, they only have 19 examples of that ever. And those people have probably been prosecuted because, as it turns out, sexual harassment or assault or rape are illegal as it is. There's no reason to impose another law preventing people from using bathrooms if the purpose of that is preventing them from breaking another law. The imposition of a law is not going to stop someone who is already going to break the law. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
We've had these laws in the books for the past, 40 years. They have come to understand that this includes transgender people. For the last 15 years, we're all over society. We are going to the bathroom. We are showering. We are in athletics.
We should slow down and talk about words, yeah. Because, that's totally not concern trolling just to try and make yourself sound more reasonable. Yeah, totally. 100%. 100. Is that a meme now? Is this a meme? Words. What do they mean? I think that this is the birth of a meme. I think we're watching it happen right now.
So you can't put us back.
But no one's suggesting that, and you're dodging the question because you don't have an answer, and I just hope you'll take this seriously because...
You're dodging the question. Holy shit. He's asking such a disingenuous question, though. He's asking such a disingenuous question. Whether or not there's a law that suggests that trans people should or should not be allowed to use bathrooms, and that's irrelevant for trying to derive validity from this. Like, that has nothing to do with this. It's 100% irrelevant. Because as it turns out, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are evidence-based at all. Oh my God, this is so dishonest.
I think it's a serious issue, and I hope that you will too. It's not just a matter of saying, we're here, we're not going away. It's a series of doing...
But you're saying until we have a standard, until we have an absolute standard, we can't do anything, and I disagree with that.
I'm saying don't give $11 billion away to people who are faking. Like, what?
What are we giving money away to? $11 billion? Where the fuck is this money going? What? Also, I love her. I'm sorry. All right, the video is almost over. This is just like, holy shit. $11 billion? Where is this money going to? What the fuck are they talking about? Words. Oh my God. Yeah, but like, this is really interesting because like, this relates back to the debate that we had earlier, because like, this is a good example of just concern trolling, right? I mean, like, this is on a national scale, so someone can't respond with like, someone can't like go back to like the type of bigotry that we saw earlier where someone literally suggested like gender checking people at the door, right? They have like, in order to be able to like convey amazing, like in order to be able to like convey like bigoted ideas to a more, I say more with a heavy grain of salt, reasonable audience, like you have to convey them in such a way where it's not like as overtly bigoted. You have to use like, oh, I'm not saying that trans people aren't who they say they are. I just am having concerns. I think that we don't have a standard yet. And I think that even if you have 25 fucking studies with you right now, that honestly, like, I'm just concerned and I just care about money that is completely, I mean, like, that's completely made up as far as I'm aware. Like, I don't know where the fuck he's pulling $11 billion out of his ass. Like, it's just concern trolling, The important way to be able to deal with these kind of people is to call it out, right? Because a lot of these people, I mean, like, technically I cannot read Tucker Carlson's mind, so I don't know if this is like his genuine belief, but it seems more likely that this is just like concern trolling. At least that's my best guess. You can do what you will with the evidence. You're all smart people, and I'm gonna leave it there. Nice video. Check-in. Vibe check. How are we doing? Hey, we still have like 200 people on Twitch. Hey, and also like 300 people on YouTube. Hey, if you haven't joined already, do it. See this thing here? It's called a Discord. It's You can find it at, wait, is this, hold on, this might be about to do it. Never mind, it's not. Discord.gg/RGR. Let's get to, I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to 3200. Listen, I have dinner, I have plans in 30 minutes. I have plans in 30 minutes. We can get another video in. We'll have 3 videos up this week. It's gonna be a good time, fam. So I think we can do it. So let's take a look-see. All right. So let's see what we got. Okay, I think we're just gonna do. So I'm looking at the videos that we have left. I think we're just gonna do a. We're just gonna do a Blair White one because she has the shortest video. It's 4 minutes and 52 seconds. Y'all heard the noise already. God damn it. Yeah. So like, I don't have a ton of time. We're just gonna do some quick dunking. So actually, very fittingly. Blair White. We all know about Blair White. Hooray. The truth about trans bathrooms. Oh no. Comes from 2017. Also around the same time. Maybe it's related. But yeah, so I'm sure that she's super trustworthy. Let's see how her views change. I don't know. Maybe in 2017 she was like a super progressive SJW. I don't know. But yeah, let's just see what she's got, and we'll take the arguments as they come from this wonderful beloved person this is.
Hey guys, so it is early in the morning, but people have been blowing
Oh my god, this is old. Damn, this has been a second. I'm sorry.
up my social media to talk about the hottest of hot topics, trans bathrooms. And I find it so funny that this is such a hot topic because, I don't know, I'm trans and I've never ever had an issue using any public restroom.
Yeah, I mean, like, that makes sense, Blair. Actually, like, this might be a decent argument. Like, you're a trans woman, and obviously you passed. Congratulations. So yeah, there's like literally like you are a walking, talking example of why like issues of trans predators are like unfounded, because most trans people are just going to go into the bathroom, take a piss. It's not going to affect anyone. Amazing.
I know that's just my experience, and people get so upset when I talk about my experiences because they say, well, you're not everyone else. Yeah, I know, honey, but that doesn't mean I can't talk about it. Right? And this is a topic that I feel like only a small fraction of the people who are talking about it are able to maintain any sort of objectivity. And that's going to be the goal of this video.
Objectivity? Oh my god, I have such a fucking high bar for her right now. All right, fucking objectivity from Blair White. All right, let's fucking see it. I'm ready. I am so fucking ready for it. Let's see it.
Yeah, to be as objective as I can be. And you may feel like me being trans myself actually hinders me being able to be objective in this instance, but I would argue that there are very few people who have taken as objective as a stance as I have on the trans community. I both
What? I think there are very few people who have taken as objective a stance within the trans community. Holy shit! Objective. It's like the one meme where it's like, what's the one person? It's like, you keep using that word. I don't think that you know what it means. God damn it. Sometimes I hate what I do because like I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall. Like so much. Literally that's been the whole night. It's just like bashing my head against the wall. Except for the one person from earlier. She was cool. Like the trans woman on Tucker Carlson. I do not mind her. She gave me some hope. Objective equals knowing trans isn't normal. Yeah.
offended and criticize trans people depending on the issue because, believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, the world is not just black and white. President Trump is currently under fire for...
I mean, yeah. Okay, well, let's hear this spicy hot take. I'm ready for it. My body is ready. We are a minute in, and it's a 5-minute video. I'm ready for it.
Rolling back transgender protections put in place by Barack Obama that enable...
Okay, so it does relate to actually the thing that we were talking about. Okay, so this is in context. President Trump was rolling back transgender protections for trans youth to be able to go in the bathrooms in 2017. All right, cool. Same topic as earlier. Let's see what her wonderful opinion is on it.
Children in public schools to enter the bathroom that matches their gender identity. It also allowed kids to use whichever locker room corresponds with their gender identity. So Obama's policy essentially made every bathroom gender neutral because any kid could enter any bathroom citing gender identity as the reason. And if school...
No. God damn it. Back to this fucking argument. Okay. Let's talk about this again. Princess Bright, you keep... Yeah, hold on.
You got very good arms.
He didn't fall! In
Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Good meme. Anyway, okay. So the argument is that like by having trans inclusive policy, that naturally makes every bathroom gender neutral. Also, side note, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So as a small side note, gender segregated bathrooms arose not out of differences of anatomy, but a paternalistic desire to protect women that closely resembles concerns by men about the possibility of black people and other minorities assaulting white women in bathrooms since Jim Crow era. It's not like segregated bathrooms didn't arise out of like concerns that we should, or like actual biological differences between men and women. They came out because like cis guys were like, oh, women are so frail and need to be protected because protect women. Who do we need to protect them from? From men, also from black people, I guess. See segregation. Also from gay people. See everything up until recent trans debates. Also from trans people today. Like they're not like sex segregated bathrooms aren't like born out of like a desire to like protect women, right? They exist today as like a social, like mainly as gendered spaces, but they don't really serve much utility beyond that. But like that being aside, so like that's just like a small side. The concern is like, oh, well, if we let anyone into any bathroom, then, you know, then predators are going to take advantage of that, and they're going to go in, and they're going to, in people who identify, people who are males, whether that be who are defining as trans women or like people who are cis men who are adopting a label of trans to be able to do that, well, they're going to go in and rape all the women, right? Before we get into all the evidence, rape is still illegal. It's illegal to rape someone. It's illegal to sexually assault someone. Like that doesn't change because you go into a bathroom. Like it's illegal to do that. So imposing a law saying that people aren't allowed to go into a bathroom isn't going to stop someone who is already going to break a law. Like that's stupid. But also looking at the evidence on like actual evidence and researchers and like accounts about trans predators in women's bathrooms. Whereas over 200 sexual assault and domestic violence organizations, the American Medical Association, studies, experts, and police departments across the nation have confirmed that 1, bathroom bills citing fears of increased safety and privacy violations as a result of non-discrimination laws are not empirically grounded. Like all the bathroom bills that have been posited recently, or at least back in like 2016 and in recent years, like they're just not evidence-based. Not one of them has been like based in any kind of empiric evidence about like trans predators in bathrooms, right? Like they're just based on like fear-mongering. Secondly, there are no studies finding that sexual predators are more likely to take advantage of transgender-friendly bathroom laws, and a review of evidence collected by organizations such as the Family Research Council, American Family Association, the Liberty Council, and Breitbart arguing otherwise found only one case where the perpetrator was trans fucking ever, and 19 cases where they claimed to be trans or disguised as an opposite gender to commit a crime. I want to ask you all, does 19 people in the course of fucking ever who took advantage of these kind of laws to go into bathrooms, like, does that sound like a pandemic? Does that sound like something crazy? Does that sound like something that we should, like, ban all trans people from the bathrooms of the gender that they identify with to be able to avoid? Or does it sound like that those are just things that can be dealt with normal, like, rape and sexual, harassment laws? Because it's such an overwhelming minority of people that's not representative of trans people whatsoever. I'll let you decide. Also, anti-trans groups pushing bathroom bills have admitted that bathroom predator myths that they pushed were intentionally and completely fabricated as a way to avoid an uncomfortable battle over LGBT ideology and still fire up people's emotions. They were just made up to fearmonger. That's it. Also, a survey of 17 school districts, keep your eye on this one, a survey of 17 school districts around the country with protections for trans people covering over 600,000 students found no problems with harassment in bathrooms or locker rooms after implementing their policies. So remember, people, we have had these for a ton of students, for a ton of schools, and there have been no issues. Amazing. And lastly, an investigation of 18 states and more than 200 municipalities with laws protecting transgender people from discrimination have reported no problems, right? So understand that, like, even if we're vaguely appealing to, like, a concern that, like, oh, we'll just let whoever we want to these bathrooms if we allow trans people to be able to go in, like, not only is this not an issue, but, like, that's not, but, like, or not even, not only are, like, unisex bathrooms technically, like, not a bad thing. Can you please zoom in and read the doc better? Also helps with editing. I'm sorry, I will zoom in from now on. I will, so thank you. But, like, the TLDR, not only are like unisex bathrooms technically not a bad thing, but also like not only are they not a bad thing because like the reason that we have sex segregated bathrooms in the beginning is based off of like irrational fears about the nature of trans people, or not the nature of trans people, but about the nature of like different genders of people. But also, any claims that like there's no, like in all the places where we've had gender inclusive laws, like people don't take advantage of these. Like this isn't like a realistic concern. This is the same as like the Ben Shapiro, oh, well, if we let trans people identify as whatever they want to, well, then we're going to have trans age people, when in fact, that's just not what we see. It's just not a realistic concern. Yeah? So let's see what Blair has to say about that.
Didn't comply, they risked losing their funding. So I'm someone who does believe in transgender rights. What do I look like? Someone who wants to walk around with no rights? No, thank you. However, I actually took an intensive look at Obama's policy, and I'm not losing sleep over it being pulled back. And here are my reasons why.
Oh, amazing. She's not losing sleep over trans people losing the right to be able to go into bathrooms with which they identify with. Okay. So she hasn't changed in 3. I guess that's not surprising. Like, what the fuck did you expect? All right, let's hear the arguments. I'm ready for the super objective, fact-based arguments that, like, I'm just so ready for them. Let's hear it.
Policy was much too broad, and it included locker rooms where people change. And I'm sorry, regardless of how you feel about yourself, if you have a penis, you do not belong in the women's changing room, and if you have a vagina, you do not belong in the men's changing room.
All right, 2 things really quick. First, as we know from earlier, like there's no evidence that like people, like predators, take advantage of these laws to be able to like harass or like sexually assault women or other people. Like there's just no evidence for that whatsoever. Even the municipalities or schools, which we've already had these kind of policies, and there have been no issues. Secondly, your opinion that there just shouldn't be people with penises in those kind of change, like that's your opinion, but like that's great and all, but like there's no reason to believe that. I mean, like I don't want to come across as like unreasonable here, right? Am I saying that like someone has to change and like be like, oh yeah, here's my willy to like other like cis women in the room? Like no, but like categorically, trans people who are going to go in are probably like, if I'm going to speak from my own hypothetical, what would I do in that situation? I'm probably going to be like as far away from everyone else as I fucking can be, because I don't want to be harassed by other people. Because as it turns out, here, let's see this. Like, as it turns out, we've already seen examples of, like... Oh, wait, hold on. This is gender and sex. As it turns out, we've already seen examples where, like, trans people are disproportionately, like, the victims. Like, we have evidence and studies showing that, like, trans people are disproportionately the victims rather than the perpetrators of sexual violence and assault, right? So, like, practically speaking, if you have a trans person in, like, a women's changing room, they're probably going to be the fuck on their own, as, like, at the first point, right? And secondly... I mean, like, I don't know, we could probably go to something like individual changing stalls restroom, or individual, like, changing restrooms, right? I mean, like, a really good example, I'm about to, like, flex, I don't know. Like, I know that there are gyms that already exist that are a lot more progressive that have, like, just single capacity restrooms, right? Like, if you really want to have situations that completely address everyone's problems, just move to single person changing rooms. Like, that'll resolve everything. But to the point that, like, oh, people with penises just shouldn't be allowed in there. Well, I mean, that's your opinion, but there's no evidence to be able to back that up. And there's certainly no evidence that, like, predators or like trans predators are going to take advantage of those bathroom laws. Like, that's just not an issue.
That's just how I feel, and I understand that that's my arbitrary line, but I think that's a lot of people's arbitrary line as well. I also would have had a lot more sympathy toward the...
Okay, and that's the thing. She acknowledges it, right? Like, it's literally just arbitrary. It's literally, oh, I think that this is the way that we should do society because, like, this is the way that I feel about it. Not based on any evidence, not based on any facts. Isn't she the person who's supposed to be objective? Like, I thought that she said that she was going to be objective at the beginning of this. What happened to that objectivity? I'm going to be totally objective, except when, you know, I'm only going to rely on my opinion and my totally subjective personal, my personal opinions. Like, what the fuck is it? Are you objective, or are you just basing it off of your personal opinions? I don't think that, again, I don't think she knows what the word objective means. Rational conservative, by the way. Yeah, totally.
The policy, if it included some sort of stipulation where children were required to present some sort of formal diagnosis from a doctor, and that doctor worked with the faculty to say, this is what's appropriate for this kid, this is what's best for this kid.
Again, this is, well, I mean, like, this is transmedicalism. I'm not going to say too much about it because, like, I don't know, a lot of people who watch me understand that, like, transmedicalism logic. Like, literally, this is, like, a stone's toss away from the turf I had on earlier's version of we should have someone like checking genitals at every restroom or changing room, right? Like this is the same logic, just not taken to its logical extreme quite yet.
In the same way that anyone else with any other kind of issue or diagnosis has to get the doctor's involvement for, special arrangements to be made for that kid. There's a difference between identifying as transgender and being transgender. Was the kid diagnosed? Is the kid transitioning?
Again, this goes to the idea that like, oh, just because you identify as trans doesn't actually mean that you're trans. Most of the time, if someone identifies as trans, they're probably trans, right? Like, I hate to tell you. Again, hold on. Did we go over this earlier? I think that we went over this earlier. I don't know. I've had a long night. But if I haven't, again, so if we're talking about like social construction, right? Just to be clear to everyone, gender is a social construct. According to the World Health Organization, the American Psychological Association, the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, the United Kingdom's National Health Service, and researchers, gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, expressions, and identities of people that varies from society to society and can change over time how society interacts with and categorizes individuals, okay? That's what it means when we say that gender is socially constructed, right? And so if someone identifies as a gender, that's a form of expression and probably part of a totality of expressions which they express to other people interpret and then categorize according to their interpretations and probably categorize that person according to that identification, right? That's breaking it down. But basically to say that like most people who identify as trans are probably going to be trans and probably are going to be the gender that they identify with, right? I don't want to make Shelly mad, but can we get who checks the genital checkers Watchmen emote? Maybe. She said during her debate with Vosh that she's fiscally conservative but socially progressive. Oh my God, she did that line. I hate to tell you, fan. Like this is the same thing. I don't want to be too mean to my family, but I mean like this is the same thing. Like if people say that, and I'm not trying to moralize here, it's just descriptively correct. Like that just means that people are like that just means that you're conservative. Again, I'm not trying to moralize here, right? But usually when people say that, like from my own personal experience, and yeah, I'm being anecdotal here, so you can do what you want with it, right? You can ascribe very little weight to this or a lot, whatever. But like from what I've seen in my family, and also apparently from Blair, since she uses the same argument, is that usually when you say that, it means that you consider yourself to be a progressive person. Like, for example, you might be like, yeah, racism is bad. Gay people are okay. Trans people, but usually those beliefs are not the same. Like the way that they define those beliefs are different from someone who is actually progressive, right? For example, a lot of people who I know who take on that sort of same self-identification would say, oh, I totally agree racism is bad, but like racism really isn't a problem in America today, and like that's like racism is like chaining up black people in cotton fields, right? Like that's what racism is. We got rid of that back in the Civil War, and like I live in the North, so I can't possibly be racist because I was on the winning side of that. And if that's the case, then I mean, like, isn't this Black Lives Matter thing just like a whole lot of complaining about nothing because racism doesn't exist anymore? And also, I mean, like, my life matters too, so really it should be all lives matter. Like, this is how people arrive at that kind of an opinion, right? So it's not necessarily that like they are socially progressive. It's just that they believe in certain platitudes, but like they believe in certain concepts broadly, but like define it in such a meaningfully such a substantively different way, probably for their own ego. It's really bad to think of yourself as racist. So like people will rationalize, oh, I'm not actually racist. I just have other reasons I believe the things that I do, which may or may not be racist, right? Oh, hold on. Are people I mean, like, yeah, it's, like, literal, like, this is very reminiscent. Like, I could do the whole MLK quote about, like, the white moderate, but a lot of people do it, and I mean, like, yeah, like, that applies here, too. Like, it's basically another way to say the argument I just said, but, like, you can just take my words on its merit. I know a lot of people misquote the MLK quote, so I don't know. You can do with my argument what you will. I think it stands on its own merits, all right? But, yeah, so... What was I saying? So yeah, most people who identify as trans are probably going to be trans. She doesn't see it that way because she's trans medicalist, but that's wrong. There we go. Now we're caught up.
And you guys know my personal feelings about children transitioning. I am against it, but I still have.
Again, oh my God, we have to bring up every time I have to address arguments that normally like I have to address random arguments I don't expect. children are not being put on like hormones or aren't being given surgery. They're given hormone blockers once they get to a certain age and after proper psychiatric evaluation to prevent puberty from taking place until such an age where they can reasonably be able to decide whether or not they want to pursue medical transition. And if they decide that they don't want to pursue medical transition, then they could just come off the hormone blockers, and overwhelmingly evidence shows that everything is fine and it's safe for them to do. So when people say, "Oh, I'm against children transitioning," that's like saying that, well, what's an example of saying like I'm against something that isn't real, right? I'm against. Oh, and this is actually a really good analogy to like I'm against like the Communist Democratic Party, right? Like no, they aren't communists, right? So like when you say that, it's a non-statement. It's referring something that does not exist. So yeah.
Have the utmost sympathy for kids that are transitioning, and the fact that I'm against it doesn't change the fact that it is happening.
Wait, so trans kids aren't transitioning, but even if they are, and again, like I'm talking about medical transition. If you want to socially transition as a kid, there's no problems with that. Go fine, go nuts. But like, I am not gonna support someone, but I don't think that someone should be doing something to affirm their gender, but I'm still going to be kind to them. Like, this is like how bigots do their shit all the time. Actually, this is the same kind of thing as like the socially progressive, economically conservative argument that we talked about before, right? It's not that people aren't conservative and that these views don't come from a conservative like posturing or mindset. It's just that like they have to rationalize these conservative or these like bigoted beliefs in their head in order to be able to justify to themselves that they are not shitty people. Right? Like that's kind of like the thing that happens in their minds right now. Like she probably is saying this more for her own benefit, or maybe she's not on it. Maybe this is just like solid grifting. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. I won't be a mind reader. Either she's lying just to be able to like tell the audience, like to like basically convince the audience that she's not bigoted, or she's trying to convince herself. It's one of those two things, right? We can at least, while we cannot read our minds, we can limit down the possibilities to like the only reasonable or plausible ones.
This is my issue with most policies regarding trans people. Usually, more times than not, if you just dial it back 1 or 2 notches, it becomes much more reasonable.
Most of the time, if you dial it back 1 or 2 notches, yeah, like listen, let's just, you know, why do people have to constantly push for people to get necessary medical treatment, and why do people have to affirm that people are who they say they are, even if they don't perfectly pass? Like, God, why is everyone being so radical with the way that they push these things? It's like, again, it's all just rhetoric, you know? Like, she's making out that, like, oh, people are pushing the envelope into what's unreasonable, right? Without actually any regard for whether or not the arguments are valid, you know? Just dial back the whole equal treatment thing. Yeah, I know, right? Just dial it back a little bit. Listen, civil rights, just dial it back a little bit. It's just a little too radical. Just dial it back. It's not necessary. Civil rights? What's that?
It becomes unreasonable when you're including showers and changing rooms, and anyone can just say they're trans rather than actually providing proof.
Again, I defer this to the arguments from earlier. It's the same point.
Just dial it back a little bit. And listen, I know that people love to paint me as someone who has hatred or doesn't care about trans kids, and that is not the case. I believe that children struggling with their gender deserve so much love and support and help, but it's hard for me to lose sleep at night that a policy that is...
But, y'all catch it in there? It's a pretty significant thing. I totally care about trans youth. But, yeah, anytime that you hear that, oof, it's a rough ride from there on out, fam. Let's hear it.
Is so poorly structured was rolled back. I think this is an issue that has so much more nuance attached to it than people...
Also, she hasn't talked about, I mean, like, I guess that she vaguely alluded to, like, why she thought it was poorly structured, but, like, it's a shitty argument. It's basically like, oh, there could be people, you know, the woman might see a penis, oh no. When it's probably A, not going to happen, and B, like, there's no inherent, like, risk of, like, trans predators in bathrooms, so, like, shrug. Also, people can just, like, shower independently if they want to, and overwhelmingly, like, they're probably going to. So, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just weird that we let, like, groups of people shower together, like, generally. I don't know. Like, maybe we should just move towards the single stall bathrooms. It's not a terrible idea.
People on either side are really willing to acknowledge. If you're in the camp of bathroom free-for-all, changing room free-for-all, any kid is...
Conservatives be like, yeah, human rights, but... Yeah, also she's just getting into like literally this is the like all it is just like the slippery slope fallacy, right? Like that's the entirety of this argument, I think.
Trans as long as they say so. I'm sorry, but I can't get with it because my inner conservative is screaming. And if you're in the camp of
I can't get with this with my inner conservative because my inner conservative is screaming. I mean, honestly, out of everything that she said, like at the like up until this point, that is the one thing that I agree with, right? I agree that she is disagreeing with this because her inner conservative is showing. Yes, 100%. But also we know from earlier, like, oh, if we let anyone identify as trans and go into these bathroom spaces, then people are going to abuse those identification laws and are going to go in and rape people when like that never happens. We know it doesn't happen pursuant to the evidence we looked at earlier. Rewind to the beginning of the video if you need to see that again. My voice is getting coarse. I'm running out of patience. So we're just gonna get through the video.
Of all trans people are predators who are going to rape people as soon as you let them in the bathroom. I'm sorry, I can't get with it because my inner liberal is screaming. There's so much more to this than people.
Well, yeah, but also the related claim that like, oh, there's going to be like some like predator who's not trans, who goes into the bathroom. Like that isn't true either, right? Like the impliedly still somewhat valid claim that she's making, because otherwise there's no reason to exclude trans people from bathrooms, either based on the evidence or just based on like logic, right? There are two wolves inside of her, the trans one and the conservative one, and the conservative one is yeah. Women's spaces equal trans women's spaces. Yep, big true.
Are really willing to admit. Another aspect of this is that I feel like most people forget that the trans community is very, very small. There's only a handful, like 1 to 3.
I mean, yeah, this is true. I don't think I take any issue with that. But yeah, like if she's like making an argument that like, yeah, trans people are so insignificantly small that like really this is like a non-issue and we should let people in the bathrooms, and like, yeah, I could agree with that. It's like a decent argument.
Trans kids in any given school, if that. And so with so few kids actually being trans, I feel like this should be handled on an individual basis between kids, parents, faculty, and doctors.
I mean, no, we can have like non-discrimination laws. Like, no, that's not like a compelling reason. Like we're allowed to have like gender non-discrimination laws. Trying to think of a better way to be able to say this. I mean, like this is kind of the same thing as like, this is like a version of the states' rights argument, right? I'm not sure if that's like necessarily where she's going with it, but it's the same implication, right? Basically, oh, we shouldn't let the federal government impose like non-discrimination laws against trans people. We should leave it to like individual, and you just take out states and you put in schools to handle, right? And then like the logical consequence of that is that like not every school is going to impose those kind of like permissions equally, right? And especially schools with much more conservative people who are running it are going to be much more discriminatory and have a lot more room to be able to say what they want, or to be able to like treat trans people negatively without literally any recourse from the law. Like that's the logical implication of this argument, which is why it is bad and wrong.
All these forces working together to decide what is best for this individual particular child. I don't think a blanket policy that affects all students is really the best route to go. And I really hate when politics devolves into fights and arguments where children are left in the middle, children are left hanging in the balance. Do not use kids as political pawns.
Do not use kids as political pawns? Are you fucking serious? Yeah, we shouldn't use kids as political pawns. I just don't think that they should get health care. That's literally this argument right now. Yeah, totally. Not hypocritical whatsoever.
To paint Republicans as evil children haters, and don't paint children as sex offenders and rapists either. So I hope that...
I mean, yeah, that's true. Don't do that. Don't paint children as rapists or sex offenders. Generally, bad, cringe move. Don't do it.
Clears up my position on this matter. A lot of people wanted to know how I felt about all of this. I do have to go now.
Okay, that seems to be it. So that wasn't the worst Blair video I've ever heard, because she did say, don't treat trans people as predators. Which, hey, good for you. Maybe this was 2017, so maybe it was before like the whole exposing trans predator arc. Maybe we should have done Jessica Yaniv tonight, but that would have been like a whole bit. This is just like a couple-minute video, and that's really all I have time for right now. Yeah, so like I want to make sure to hammer home. Like this is like the same thing from Tucker Carlson, right? When people talk about, oh, I'm just concerned that if we put these laws in, then they will be abused by people who want to take advantage of self-identification laws. Like, we have overwhelming evidence that people don't do this, right? That this doesn't happen. That's a non-issue. So like to keep citing this as a concern for why we shouldn't have this law is not sufficient, because like you're basically trying to cite a fear that's not substantiated by any evidence, but is based on preconceived biases against trans people. That's bad. That's not a good basis for law. Secondly, we already have like self-identification laws in the US that somehow are able to exist and be just fine. For example, related to like religion, you can identify as a religion, and guess what? If you identify with that religion, that's all that it takes to get the protections that our laws afford you on the basis of being involved in that religion. But somehow Western civilization hasn't fallen apart as a consequence of having non-discrimination laws against people of religions, right? It's the same thing here, you know? People want to posit this fear of like, oh, people will take advantage of self-identification laws if you let it happen. But all that people are able to cite are random anecdotal instances and make them out to be massive spectacles when we already know that those people violated the law, are probably going to be punished according to the law, consistent with how they violated the law, and that we don't need to impose, and that like their situations individually say more about them as individual persons rather than the nature of like trans laws or like non-discrimination laws or trans people in bathrooms or predators, heavy quotations, in bathrooms, right? That's the thing. So don't impose laws that are not only not going to resolve the problem that you want, but are not only going to resolve a problem that doesn't exist, but is only going to impose restrictions against trans people who just want to take a piss, and which isn't going to stop hypothetical like bathroom predators who were already going to break the law and are probably going to continue to break the law even if you impose those restrictions. You know? Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so that's really all I'm going to leave it with. I hope that you all have enjoyed this conversation about trans predators, both debate and the videos with Blair and Tucker. I'm probably going to leave it for a bit. I feel like this has been a good penultimate conversation on the trans predator arc. Didn't even go over Rosa Dawn, but I mean, like, I already kind of did like a penultimate coverage of like her video recently, or like one of her videos talking about like why her arguments about trans predators aren't relevant. It's very similar in structure. But yeah, I think I just want people to leave the stream knowing that like I hope that you're able to internalize the arguments I have been able to leave you with. I hope that you are able to find benefit from them, and yeah, I don't know, pursue knowledge and trans rights. All right, that's gonna be it. What time is it? It is 8:03. Time for me to get off, but thank you. It's been wonderful. I think this has been a super fun stream, despite how frustrating some of it has been. Have a good night. Let me know in the stream chat where you want me to raid you into if you're on Twitch, and I will catch you all later.
I don't need you to respect me, I respect me. I don't need you to love me, I love me. But I want you to know you could know me if you change your mind. If you change your mind. If you change your mind. I don't need you to help me, I'll help me. I don't want you to say that you're sorry, but I want you to see you could see me if you change your mind. If you change your mind. Yeah. if you change your mind.